Good morning, everyone. I am Kamala Rampersad Silva, Chief Executive Officer of the Caribbean Corporate Governance Institute, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to this brand new workshop on the use of agentic AI in organizations with our facilitator, Brian Imammbaks from Suriname. On behalf of the Caribbean Corporate Governance Institute, it is my pleasure to welcome you to today's workshop on the use of agentic AI in organizations. And we want to thank you for choosing to spend your time with us as we explore what is arguably one of the most significant developments in artificial intelligence since the introduction of generative AI. While many of us have become familiar with tools such as ChatGPT, Agentic AI represents the next stage of evolution. AI systems that can plan, make decisions, and carry out complex tasks with increasing levels of autonomy. And as with every major technological shift, the opportunities are considerable, but so too are the responsibilities. Our role as leaders is not simply to understand the technology, but to ensure it is adopted thoughtfully, ethically, and in a manner that creates sustainable value for our organizations and stakeholders. And I want to share, personally, I've been looking at a lot of agentic AI. Some of you may have heard about OpenClaw, which turned out to be quite a rogue agent in many instances. And therefore, one should take time to understand the technology before putting some of our organizations at risk. So I'm so happy that Brian agreed to come and do this workshop with us this morning. There are many of you who are attending a CCGI workshop for the first time. So I want to say a very special welcome to you and to share that the CCGI is a nonprofit organization. We are membership-based. The organization was started in 2012, and at the moment, we enjoy approximately 350 members from a range of private and public sector organizations across the Caribbean region. And in fact, we are very, very happy to share that among the 10 countries, we welcomed our first member from Antigua and Barbuda a few weeks ago. So to Latoya Ogis, very special welcome to you as she's present here in today's workshop. Members also come from here, of course, in Trinidad and Tobago. We also have members from Jamaica, Barbados, Belize, St. Lucia, Guyana, Grenada, the British Virgin Islands, St. Martin, and Suriname. And through our bundle membership with JMMB Bank, we also have members from the Dominican Republic and Colombia. So I wanted to tell you, we do have a number of training workshops because we focus on improving governance practices by trying to develop the competence of directors and officers. So we have a policy development series that's being run with Claire Gomez Miller. We have this 2-day workshop on August 24th and 25th. So please make sure that you attend the policy development series because how policies are written is so fundamental to ensuring that our governance practices are effective. Then we also have our modules in corporate governance, which trains persons in all the fundamentals of the principles and practices of corporate governance. This is for directors and officers as well. The modules are held in October. And we would be hosting our 7th annual global conference the first week of November, followed by our end of year fun and networking event later that month. And that will be in Trinidad and Tobago this year. So I invite you to visit our website for details on these and other events, which also include, by the way, next week we have a special session with Sanjib Chase for nonprofit organizations. The NPO Act in Trinidad and Tobago has created quite a bit of obligations for persons, and so you want to attend that. And we have been doing a a board portal demonstration series. We have another demo on following Sanjay's session with Convene Board, which is another of the global leaders among board portals. So if you are not yet a member, do consider joining us and actively contribute to the conversation as well on how we can improve governance and leadership to achieve sustainable outcomes. So persons may join us as individual members, or your companies may choose to pay for bundle membership, which can cover 6 to 12 members. And now we want to come to today's workshop. Some brief housekeeping announcements. All of you who have attended workshops before are very familiar with this. So we do ask that everyone put their full names on their devices so we can identify who is in the room with us. Because as you would recognize, we are not in a webinar. We are in a virtual meeting room where everyone can engage and easily talk to other persons in the chat. And also because we provide certificates at the end of our session, we need to know who is present with us. We ask that you keep your microphones on mute throughout the session, please, unless you're invited to make a comment when you want to ask a question or so, at which point unmute yourself, but please minimize disruptive noises from your background by muting as soon as you are done. And of course, you can always put comments in the chat that we will share with Brian at points in time, right? We would also put a survey link at the end of today's session, and we encourage you. Please give us your feedback because this is important for us to know that we are meeting your expectations, and we look forward to getting any recommendations from you in terms of further training or ways that we can improve how we are doing things with you. Just before I move to introduce our facilitator, I want to acknowledge and thank our CCGI team, Laura Sinanan and Quentrell De Silva, who have been working very hard. They are part of our new initiative of business operations and governance assistance, and they're being trained to eventually support organizations with things like developing charters and policies and all that. There's this new career developing for governance officers. And so we will be starting a new series of courses entitled CCGI's Governance Essentials. We're in discussions with CTS College at the moment, but we expect to be able to begin these short courses in September. So you look out for details on that too. But now I think I've kept you back long enough. It is time for us to introduce our facilitator for today. This is Brian Imammbaks. Brian is from Suriname. I'm proud to say one of our members of CCGI. And Brian isn't your average tech expert. He's the founder of Technovate NV and an international certified transformational coach who thrives on transforming the ordinary into something truly exceptional. With over 15 years of experience mastering complex cloud infrastructure, database management, and backup and recovery solutions across Linux and Windows platforms, Brian seamlessly integrates cutting-edge technologies like AI, AR, and RPA into real-world business solutions. He's known for making advanced technology accessible and impactful for small and medium-sized businesses, eliminating overwhelm and sparking genuine excitement. So for instance, Brian's innovative creations include RX Chat and RX Agent. These are AI-driven chatbots and intelligent digital assistants embedded in WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, and websites. So you could think of these as tireless digital employees who handle all your repetitive tasks, like answering your FAQs, automating customer engagement, and nurturing leads while you sleep. He also has Augmentify, which is a groundbreaking digital twin and augmented reality platform that turns everyday spaces into immersive interactive experiences for industries ranging from manufacturing and oil and gas to tourism and banking. He also has RXV cards, which are dynamic digital business cards specifically engineered to convert casual encounters into committed customers, and customer smart apps and RPA solutions. These are tailor-made software and automation workflows that boost operational efficiency, reduce costs, and unleash untapped innovation potential. So, as we say, Brian is an international speaker and a trusted business coach. He has a genuine passion for technology combined with a unique talent for simplifying complex concepts, making him the definitive choice for entrepreneurs and business leaders looking to achieve extraordinary results. Brian Imammbaks is your guide, coach, and tech visionary, making exceptional not just possible, but inevitable. Brian, I'm so happy to have you and to hand over today's workshop in your very capable hands.
Thank you very much. In the meantime, we've also became partner of Odoo. It's a ERP platform, and we're actively building on that. And we've also we became a Samsung integrator partner. So anything related to Samsung, we can integrate that into your whole ecosystem and monitor. So it's a mouthful. So thank you very much for introducing me. And without further ado, I think we can start. Before I share my screen, I just want to say I've put a PDF file in the chat so you guys can download it. It's a workbook that is related to today's topic. So you guys can download it and use it as a guide to fill it out and for yourself and for your organization. And I think it will help you guys decide what the next step will be in your organizational goals. So let me share my screen. Let's see this one. So let me know if you guys can see my screen.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, awesome. I'm gonna open up the chat here so I have everything in one place before I start. Give me a second. Yes, okay. So I'm ready. You guys can see my screen. So good morning, everyone. In the Caribbean, it's good morning. Here in Suriname, it's good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you to the Caribbean Corporate Governance Institute for inviting me to facilitate this workshop. I just want to say that today I'm going to speak about the use of agentic AI in organizations. I want to say from the beginning that this is not a coding workshop. So if you expect to code in this workshop, that is not it. It's more a workshop, not a training. It's not a prompt engineering workshop also. It's not a technical deep dive into data science. So just for the technical guys in this session, it's not going to be that. This is a leadership and governance conversation that we're going to have today. Over the next 3 hours, and I hope I can do it in less that time, we will look at how AI is changing from something that simply assists people into something that can plan, decide, act, and interact with other systems. That is why this matters to directors, executives, corporate secretaries, governance professionals, risk officers, compliance leaders, and senior managers. So this is going to be very important for you guys, because once AI begins to act inside the organization, the question is no longer only, can it do the work? The question becomes, who authorized it to do the work, who supervised it, and who remained accountable. If I also want to briefly mention that many of the ideas we will explore today are a part of the broader thinking behind my book, and that is the governing intelligence that I wrote. I will turn this workshop into a book promotion later, maybe, but I may share a few practical nuggets from the book here that will help you guys make this topic more clear. So by the end of today, my goal is very simple. I want you to leave with a clear understanding of what agentic AI is, where it can create value, where it can create risk, and what leaders should start doing now to govern it responsibly. So I think we can start with a story. And before we go into that, I just want to say if I speak too fast, just tell me in the chat, then I will bring it down at a notch. If I'm not understandable, please let me know also. And during the presentation, if there are any questions, just say it. You can unmute your mic and just ask the question, so you don't have to wait until the end, because maybe some of you have some meetings to attend during, and you cannot wait until the end. So go ahead, ask your question anytime in the presentation, and if I'm able to answer it today, I will do that. And if not, then I will make sure you get the answer. That's for sure. All right, so let's start. So imagine arriving at the office tomorrow morning, right? You open your laptop, you check your messages, and before you find you find your first cup of coffee, or you just got your coffee, someone walks into the office and say, "We have a situation," and you ask, "What happened?" They say, "While everyone was sleeping, one of our employees approved customer application, rejected several requests, negotiated with suppliers, sent instructions to other departments, updated customer records, and authorized payments." Now let me ask you something. Would your first reaction be, "Wonderful, look how productive this employee is"? Probably not. Your first question would be, who authorized this? That question sits at the heart of governance. Let me just say that. Before we admire speed, we ask about authority. Before we celebrate efficiency, we ask about accountability. And before we scale a process, we ask whether control exists. Because if you don't have control, then that's very dangerous. So that is the exact conversation organizations are beginning to have with agentic AI. Because agentic AI is not only answering questions, it can pursue objectives, it can choose steps, it can call different kinds of tools, it can interact with systems, it can trigger workflows, it can recommend or even execute decisions. So the question is not whether AI can do more. The question is whether our organizations are ready to govern what it can do. That is the question. So are there any questions here before we go to the next slide? Is this clear?
I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, so
Yeah, I'm also following the chat, so no questions here. Yeah. Okay, great. So the biggest misunderstanding about AI is that many people still think it is mainly a chatbot. They think AI is something we ask question to, like ChatGPT, right? You put in a question and you get an answer. So that's a basic chatbot. We ask it to write an email, we ask it to summarize a document, we ask it to create a presentation, we ask it to explain a concept. Yeah, and that is useful, but that is not the full picture anymore. The shift we are seeing right now is from AI that responds to prompts, um, to AI that pursues objectives. And that is a much bigger shift. A tool waits. So if you have a tool, it waits on your input. Like a calculator waits, right? Microsoft Word, it waits. Excel waits. Traditional software waits until a human gives it a clear instruction. And that is also true for a chatbot. But an AI agent can be given an objective. For example, reduce customer response time, or prepare a board summary, or monitor invoice for anomalies, or let's say review these applications and escalate anything that is high risk. Once we give AI an objective, it begins to plan the steps towards the objective. So it can decide which information it needs, which tools it should use, which system it should query, what to do first, and when to escalate. So that is why agentic AI is different. It is not a better answering machine. It is a new operating capability inside your organization. And when a capability begins to pursue objective, governance must follow. So this workshop is about leadership. I want to make that very clear. We are not here to become AI engineers today. That is not my objective. We're here to become better leaders in an AI-enabled world. Because whether you like it or not, we all will have to go with the AI enabled world we're living in right now. Leadership is not about knowing every technical detail. A board member does not need to understand every line of code in a banking system to govern a bank. A CEO does not need to understand every firewall rule to govern cybersecurity. But leaders do need to ask the right questions. They need to understand where authority sits. They need to understand where risk enters. They need to understand what control exists. They need to know who is accountable when something goes wrong. AI governance is exactly that. It is the discipline of ensuring that AI is used as a way that it aligned with strategy, risk, appetite, legal obligation, ethical principle, and stakeholders' trust. So today we will speak in business language. We will. It's very hard for me to speak in business language because I'm a tech driven guy, and most of the time, when I talk to CEO, they say, hey, I don't understand what you're saying. So I will try my best to talk business language here so that everyone can understand. Um, we will use example from customer service, finance, recruiting, public service, insurance, compliance, risk, and onboarding reporting. If at any point in the conversation becomes too technical, just bring me back to my senses, okay? So because that is where the responsibility ultimately sits. So I hope that everything is clear until now. So what is an AI agent? Let's start over there. So at its simplest, an AI agent is an AI system that can receive an objective, plan how to achieve it, and then they use a tool or a system to take action and adjust based on feedback. So let us make this a little bit practical. A chatbot, it answers questions. an AI agent works towards a goal. So you give it a goal and it goes and it finds out the best way to achieve that. A chatbot might answer, um, let's say, what is our refund policy? An AI agent might receive a customer refund request. It will check the policy, look up the customer's history in the system, verify the transaction, just like we human would do, assess whether the request is normal or unusual, because that happens, prepare and respond to that request. And it also can update your CRM and escalate the case if it fails outside the specific given rules that it has to act on. That is a very different level of involvement. The agent is not only producing text, it's participating in the complete workflow. It's like having, let's say, um, this is why organizations must be very careful when they implement AI agents. And when we're talking about AI agents, it's also agentic AI. So we need to be very careful in how we implement that. If an AI agent only drafts the message, the risk may be limited, right? If it sends a message, update customer record, approve a refund, or let's say it triggers a payment, the risk profile changes immediately, right? So I think you guys agree on that, right? That is why every AI agent needs three things. One is a clear purpose. Two is clearly defined authority and boundaries for escalation. These are very important things, because if you don't do this, you will have wild west situation and you won't be able to control it. So without these three elements, an AI is not simply a productivity tool. It becomes an uncontrolled actor inside your organization. And so for everyone in this call, do you want an employee that is uncontrollable in your organization? If it's no, then just type it in the comments. If it's yes, I would really like to see who say yes. Okay, yeah. So you guys are on the right track. Nobody wants uncontrolled situation. Great. Okay, so this slide shows a simple but important distinction. An assistant answers, right? A co-pilot assists, an agent acts. So that may sound simple, but it is one of the most important distinctions for governance. So when we use AI as an assistant, the human remains fully in charge. The AI gives a response, and the human decides what to do with it. When we use AI as a co-pilot, right? I'm not talking about Microsoft Copilot here. I'm talking about using AI as a co-pilot, right? So an AI is closer to your workflow. It helps draft, it helps analyze, compare and summarize, or it even recommends information. The human still plays an active role in the co-pilot situation, but
So,
the AI
Brian,
is now, yes,
let me ask then, if would how we use ChatGPT be
yeah.
considered a co-pilot, an example of how you use AI as a co-pilot?
Yes. ChatGPT depends on how you use it. It can fall um, into a assistant or a co-pilot. It's not an agent. So that is the distinction. So if you use ChatGPT as is right now, you just open ChatGPT and you start typing things, then it's more an assistant. But if you use ChatGPT now and connect it to your Google Drive, to your mail, to your SharePoint, or any other tools that you have, then it is becoming a co-pilot assistant. So it is becoming a co-pilot. And beyond that, then you cannot use ChatGPT anymore. So AI agent is a different level of automation. So yeah, so you can use ChatGPT in two different ways. So I hope that answers the question.
Yes, yes. I was just
Yeah.
trying to picture the
Okay.
different
Yeah.
phases. So yes.
Yes, yes, yeah. So that's the distinction between these two. So you can use ChatGPT in two situation. If you have the free version, then it's just the first. You can use it as an assistant. You give it something to, it can review, it can draft, etc., etc. But if you have the paid version, I mean, in the free version, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, or you can do certain type of stuff as a co-pilot. Not a lot, but it still can.
Yes, it
And
does allow you to draft. It helps to
yeah,
draft, certain
yes,
messages and that kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
But I guess at a more limited level than a paid
right,
version.
right. So when you have the paid version, and that is around $20 a month, then you can start connecting it to tools within your company. And remember, that is where governance starts coming into place, because at the moment you start connecting AI into your tools that you're using, then there should be data governance in place, because you don't want in Suriname we say Jan Piet class, but you don't want Tom, Dick, and Harry to to start connecting your financial application because it's cloud based. Hey, there I see. Oh, I can connect ChatGPT to my CRM. So you just click accept and it connects it automatically. So that is very, very dangerous. So that is why governance needs to be on top of everything. Before we even talk about implementing AI in any company, we need to have that governance discussion. Um, Yes, there is a comment. Very glad to hear data governance being a critical pillar in this discussion. Yes, yes, it is. It is. I see things go very wrong. I've done more than 300 AI implementation in the whole Caribbean, and nobody is talking about AI governance. Nobody is talking about even governance as governance itself. AI is a step up on that, but if we don't have governance in place, then it's like you have all your documents and you're handing it to everybody who's coming in the company. So, and that is exactly what people are doing as we speak with ChatGPT and other tools that there's like Claude and Grok and everything. So that's very dangerous. So I think as executive in this session, we need to have that conversation going in our company. So after this session, you guys, I have a workbook, use it, fill it in, and you will see how many things you don't have in place. I will share a link also at the end where I've created a tool that you can take a assessment, and it will give you the exact gaps that you have in your organization. And based on that, you can decide if you want to tackle all those 6 pillars, because it's based on ISO 42001. That's AI governance. AI governance. So I think that will help you guys a lot. So it will give you a baseline on what to do in your organization, and it will also give you a baseline of your company as where you stand with AI governance, as in when to implement it. So and when you have those gaps, you can always contact Kamala, or you can contact me directly, and we will make a game plan to help you guys be very that we can implement this for you guys, and that you know that your company is now compliant. Because if you're doing internationally business, then the big guys out there, they are going to ask you, hey, how compliant are you? Where is your data being stored? Who has access to it? Are you using AI? And how are you using AI in your company? So those are the questions that big companies ask. And if you don't have proof to tell them how these things are working in your company, then most of the time, yeah, in all of the time, they will not work with you. So that is very 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 important. So I'm going to share that link later on in the presentation. If I forget, please remind me, Kamala, that I need to share that link. So it helps everyone here become a better entrepreneur and become a better manager and ask better questions within their company. So yeah. So that is where governance becomes very critical, because delegation always raises questions. Why authority has been delegated? What must remain with a human? What evidence must be retained? What happens if the agent makes a wrong decision? Like this happens. So who's responsible? I get that a lot. I've been doing implementation, and the AI has had answered the question wrongly, and now everybody is asking, yeah, but who is responsible for that? And then I told them, you guys wanted to be AI first, not governance first. So this is when the shit hits the fan, this is what happens. So you don't have any person to point finger to and to say, hey, who's responsible, who did that, and who trained the AI, with what knowledge did the AI has been trained. So all those questions starts come, and then sometimes I tell companies, it's good that you've burnt your fingers, then you now know, because if I tell you, then you won't believe me. So now you've experienced it. So here you go, as a gift, that you start understanding things, and it comes kind of harsh, but it's the truth, and we need sometimes we as company, even myself, we're kind of proud of what we do, and and that is where the issue starts happening, if we're not open to new things. Because right now the world is changing every single second. It's changing like never before, and we need to be on top of our games. We cannot wait on governments to create legislation to cover these things. We need to be on top of our game. The private sector is the only sector that I know that can that can act on this speed. But the other thing is that you need to know where to look for the information. You need to know what questions needs to be asked, and good governance discussion starts by asking where the AI sits on that spectrum. Is it answering? Is it assisting? Is it acting? Right? So the answer determines the level of control that requires in your company. So I like to think of this as the autonomy ladder. At the bottom, we have traditional software. It follows predefined instructions. So you give it specific instructions and it just does that. Then we have automation. It executes a fixed process when certain conditions are met. So that is automation. So if this, then that. Simple. Then we have AI assistant. They respond to human prompts and help us work faster. So then we have AI agents, right? They can pursue goals and use tools. And on top of that, we have multi-agent organization, where several AI agents work together across different functions. So many organizations are currently somewhere between AI assistant and AI agent. They are using ChatGPT, Copilot, or other tools to wiring and summarizing, researching as an analyst. But the market is moving very quickly towards agent, and soon the conversation will not be, can AI write this email? It will be, can AI manage this process? That is why governance, the conversation must start now. And I'm very glad that you guys are in this session. So if we wait until agents are already deeply embedded in our system, governance will become much harder. It will always it's always easier to design control before you deploy it, uh, and 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 that is the best way than to start repairing things, and after trust has been after your trust has been broken. So it's always good to be safe than sorry, to put it in that way. Yes, and also must have an audit trail. Yeah, that is very important. Yeah, you need to have an audit trail of everything, traditional software. Every traditional software has an audit trail, so you know who went into the system, who did what, when, what changed, when did it change, why did it change. So these are all the audit trails that simple application needs to have, and that is also true for AI. So when we implement AI, all these rules needs to be implemented. So people get confused, say, hey, but AI can do everything. Why do I need an audit trail? So this is exactly why, because when it goes wrong, you need to be able to um, do a root cause analysis. Find, hey, where did this go wrong? In which stage did it go wrong? Is it my knowledge that is confusing? Is it the tool that we have in the company that has wrong information, or not actual information? So these are very important question we need to answer, and that is why one, we don't go starting to implement AI in a company from day one. We start with data, because AI does exactly what your data says. So, and if your data is not clean, if your data is not structured well, then you have just created the next how could I say that, it's just building on a very unstable foundation. And so if you build a house on an unstable foundation, what will happen by with all the heavy rains and breeze that is coming? And you can see that as uh, external forces within companies, like your competitors. So if they blow a little hard on your company and your data isn't structured, then you will crash, right? So it's the same thing. So we need to that. So we need to be a data first company. So structure your data very good. If you have data all over the place in Excel sheets, in your CRM, in your finance application, and they are not in sync, then we have a problem. So we need to structure that data first. And once you've structured that, you create one database, and then from there you can create AI agent, because you have one source of truth. Because if AI have to look into very other systems, and maybe you forgot to update one system, and it got the information from that system and it compares it to the actual system that you have, there you will have a discrepancy, and that is where things goes wrong. Like somebody asking a pricing question, like what does it cost to fly from Suriname to Trinidad? Like maybe you've updated the price yesterday and it's 500, but the AI sees 300. It will give the client 300, but you have updated your Excel sheet into 500. So who's responsible? And when the client comes, it will tell you, hey, you guys told me 300, so I brought 300 for you. You cannot tell me today it's 500, right? So these things happen. So that is why we need to structure our data first, that we have one source of truth. Let's see. In some instance, the chat bot and so can not answer certain questions. Ask, the issue still has to be forwarded. Yes. So Kevin has a valid point, and that happens. So when you have an AI agent, a chatbot that answers all your frequently asked questions, it sometimes happens that the AI doesn't cannot answer that question, and that is where we have, in the technical term, we call it human in the loop. So In that case, the AI agent will tell the client, "Hey, I cannot answer that question. I don't have the information at hand, but I can transfer you to a colleague of mine that can help you with that." So in that case, you mitigate all those issues, and and the AI can transfer that message to a live agent. So the live agent will get a message from, "Hey, Peter has a question. Can you hop on the call and help that client?" So those are the things that we also built, and that is something we've built in WhatsApp. So if somebody asks a question in WhatsApp and the AI that we connected to it cannot answer it, it will send a message to the human agent, as in, "Hey, I have someone on the call and I cannot answer that question. Can you hop on the call and answer it?" And then the AI in this case goes silent, and it waits until the human answers the question. And what you can do in that situation is create a self-learning AI agent. And so when the human answers that question, what you can do if you have an admin, so if you have different kinds of authority within the company, then the admin of the company can decide, okay, that answer is correct, so we can promote that answer to the AI agent's brain. So the next time when somebody asks a similar question, the AI doesn't have to do a human in the loop. It doesn't have to contact the agent to hop on the call. It answers it automatically because it now has the actual information. So that is how you can set that up, and how we are setting it up for businesses here. So I hope that answers also your question that might come up. All right, good. Then let's go to the next slide, and that is if AI agents are becoming digital workers, and they need something very similar to a job description, not because they are people, they are not people, but because they operate inside a process that affect people, money, customers, employee, and stakeholders. So a digital worker needs a clear purpose, and that needs to be defined, just like you guys attracting people to work for you. So AI agents are becoming digital worker within the companies. So before AI agent, we used to have virtual agents. So virtual agent is just a human being on the other side of the world that does work for you. But now it's an AI that does the same thing for you. So you can see it as that. And because you have a digital worker now, you need to clearly define what its role is. So that is, again, governance. What is this agent supposed to achieve, right? It needs defined authority. What may it do on its own? That is very important, because every repetitive job you can give it to the AI, but it needs boundaries. What must it never do without approval? That is so important. What must an AI never without without approval? And that is where the human in the loop comes in the picture. And it needs escalation rules. So who do I contact when someone asks certain questions? When must it stop and ask a human to intervene? So the human in the loop question again. So the human in the loop is not, if it cannot answer a single question, then a human come in. So there are a lot of approval and escalation rule that need to be set up, just like a human being. So if you're a human being within the company and you work, you need to know if someone asks a certain question, who you need to call to get that answer, right? So it's the same thing with AI agent. So those are SOPs that you need to set up for the AI agent, and the AI agent will then go through that and act accordingly. Sometimes you cannot 100% make an AI agent work perfectly. It takes time. So companies that we've done implementation, They are so hyped into the one click step that that they always confront me for, yeah, why is it taking so long? Because when we watch a video on YouTube, it's click here and click there and do this and do that and it's done. But the underlay structure that is not being told in YouTube. And most of the time, a YouTube video that you're going to watch, it's all hype and they are just doing it for the views so that YouTube can pay them based on the algorithm. They don't care about how your business is being run or what is good for your business. So that is what I tell companies, and then they start to understand, hey, you're right, because it's not that easy. Because if it was easy, then everyone would have AI agents in their company and everything would be run by AI agent if it was that easy, right? Are you guys agreeing with me when I say that? Because sometimes I think I'm crazy that I think like that, but if it was so easy, then everyone would have that in place. So this is one of the most practical ways executives can think about agentic AI. Do not start by asking what model are we using, because that's a question I get a lot. Hey, which model are we going to use? Which model are you using? Why you're using that model? Start by asking, what role is the agent playing in your organization? That is the question you need to ask. Not which model you're going to use, because you can use any model, but if the role isn't defined in your organization, then does it matter which model you're using? It doesn't matter, because any model will do what you want. And if you haven't worked that rollout, then it doesn't make sense. So if a human employee had this role, what authority would we give them? What supervision would they need? What policies would they follow? What records would they keep? That thinking brings AI governance back into familiar business language. So are you guys getting value out of this? These are questions that we are asking companies, and I think that you guys can ask that within your company, especially when you have companies that work for you guys, software companies or any kind of companies that are selling AI to your guys. These are the questions you should ask them, because what I've seen is most companies, they just want to sell something to you and they do not want to give value up front. And I do not want to work with those companies. So that is why I'm doing this, and I'm teaching you guys the right question you need to ask. So even if I come into your company to do some IT stuff, you guys need to ask me these questions. This is mandatory. There is no exception. Good. I hope you guys are having
I
value.
am enjoying it very much, Brian, because I am one of those persons who would not have known that you need to have what is akin to a job description and you understand the purpose for it. Because in my mind, I also was thinking, okay, which AI model do I use if I want to use agentic AI? So I'm loving this very much.
Yeah, yeah. So, so the organization of the future will be actually hybrid, not hybrid in the sense of remote work only, but hybrid in the sense of what work will be carried out by a combination of human teams and AI agents. Um, some tasks will remain fully human. You cannot give that to an AI agent. I wouldn't do that. Some tasks will be AI assisted. Some workflows will be AI led but human supervised, and some low risk processes maybe become highly automated, like small automation, small things that are repeatedly done every day, and you already have a process that is well defined. Then you just automate that. It saves you a lot of time. um, and this creates enormous opportunities. It can reduce repetitive work, just what I've just said. It can improve responsiveness. It can help small organizations scale capabilities that previously required large teams. Like with a small team, I can do one person can do 50% work if you've defined the automation correctly and implemented correctly. Remember that when I talk about implementation, it's a one-time implementation that when you define it very well and it starts doing the work, you save hours, maybe yeah, tens, maybe 20 hours in a week by just automating one simple work that you are doing repeatedly. Like in like for me, I have a complete board of directors that are AI agents. I have 16 AI agents that is on my board of directors. I only have two humans. The reason I do that is because one of them are very scrutinizing me every morning. The other one has different roles. So I have defined 16 roles within my company that would have been done by a human being, but I've automated that it is now being done by AI agent. And I have the CEO and me as a founder. We're sitting there every morning, 4 o'clock, and we're having this conversation with agents that their task is to find everything in the whole world, gather all the information based on what you know about Technovate. You come and scrutinize us. Hey, how is the company going financially? What are the things that we need to do? And so when we have that conversation, and it's a conversation in a Zoom call just like this, so it's very advanced that we've set up for our company, and it's been working awesome. I mean, they are asking us questions that we even didn't thought of, and that lets you as business leader think out of the box, because we as a human, we only see what's in front of us, but now we have AI agents that can act as you just give them a specific role and they will act in that role. And it's wonderful to see. I cannot demonstrate it for you guys here because it's very confidential. But if you set up one single agent that can help you with that, it's so much hours that you have saved in your company. So this is just, I'm telling you guys this because people don't even know that this is possible. So I'm telling you what's possible, and this is just scratching the surface. There are so many things that you can do. I mean, I have accounting AI agent that can actually log into my bank account, and it sends me the OTP. I just have to accept it, and it goes into my bank account every morning. It checks all the records that people have paid that day. It extracts that information. It goes into my ERP system, and it books everything that needs to be booked, fully automated. At the end of the month, I have how do you call it? Another AI agent that does how do you call taxes for me. So it logs into the tax portal, it extracts all the tax that needs to be paid, and it books it in the tax platform. And I get an email, hey, this is the amount that you need to pay. Then I approve that, and it does the payment automatically. So those are things that can be automated in your company. Because right now a human being needs to go through so many data and export it, and then especially for us company here in the Caribbean, the banking system isn't automated, where it connects into your financial application, into your CRM, into your ERP, that you can automate that whole process. So it takes time to extract that information, make the report, it needs to be approved, and then you guys know the drill. So we've automated that process. And Kamala has said it in the beginning. You've called a tool OpenClaw. That has been it's a very dangerous tool if you don't know how to use it. And that's why what do you call that company? The company that makes those chips. I forgot his name, but they have made a different version of OpenClaw, and that is more secure, and you can use that in your organization. But I would still, if you don't have technical knowledge, don't go into that realm, because it can go wrong very fast. Because when you install OpenClaw instance in your company's network, that means it has access to everything in your network. So you need to create, what we do is we create a virtual environment, and we isolate it, and we only give data to it through API connection, and those API connection are very strict. And then we monitor all those processes until we see, okay, it can do the work on itself and it's confident. Then we give it one bite size more and give it a little bit more. Yes, NVIDIA, correct. Thanks, Marlon. Yeah. So those are the things. This is how you should set it up for your company. So this creates enormous opportunities. It can reduce repetitive work. It can improve responsiveness. It can help small businesses scale enormously. It can allow leaders to spend more time on judgment, strategy, and relationship. Because right now, let's face it, guys, as a business leader, sometimes you're in the trenches, you're all over the place, and that can make you actually make the wrong decision. You can misjudge something. You can maybe you're in a strategy session and you're not actually there in the strategy session. I don't know if you guys can relate to that, because sometimes you're in a meeting but you're not actually there. You're somewhere solving a problem in your head. And when you set up something like this, you have more time for yourself. You can sleep better at night if it's set up good. Um, but it also creates a new accountability challenge. If a human and an AI system collaborate on a decision, who owns the outcome? That is also a question you need to ask. If an AI agent makes a recommendation and a manager approves it without proper review, right? Was there a meaningful human insight? So if several AI agents collaborate across systems, right, and something goes wrong, can the organization reconstruct what happened? So that is the root cause analysis, what I was talking about. Can you reconstruct the problem again? Can you reproduce that? And that is very important. The hybrid organization is not only a technology model, it is a governance model. So you see how governance play a crucial role into every single thing you do in your company. So I hope this lands good to you guys, and until now I'm giving value. So this sentence is one of the core ideas I want you guys to remember. Power without accountability is not innovation. It's exposure. So organizations often get excited about AI, what it can do, and that excitement is how do you call it? Is understandable. I can understand why people get excited. It's a cool thing, right? Whoa, I see a machine doing things that a human can do. I mean, I when I first saw it, I was mesmerized. AI can analyze documents in seconds. I mean, I have to read the 200 page. It takes me hours to read that. And an AI agent can read that in seconds. It can generate content, uh, and multiple contents. Like if you're a content creator, you're in marketing, it can create monthly content for you. You just have to post it. And nowadays it can even do that for you. So it can support customers. It can process information at the speed no human team can match. Let's be honest on that. But capability is not the same as authority, right? Just because a system can do something does not mean the organization should allow it to do that thing without control. Let me say that again. Just because a system can do something um, that Yeah, so just because a system can do something does not mean the organization should allow it to do that thing without control. Remember, control is very important here. A payment system can move money, right? It can move money from one place to the other. That does not mean everyone gets unlimited access. An HR system can update employee records. That does not mean everyone can change salaries, right? A banking system can approve transaction. That does not mean control disappear, right? You still have to have that control. The same principle applies to AI. So the more capable the AI becomes, the more deliberate governance must become. Capability without accountability, people, is exposure. And this happens. This happens a lot. So yeah. So let me bring you this into the boardroom. Let's bring this into the board. So imagine a board approved an AI transformation strategy. The strategy sounds excellent, right? Improve efficiency, reduce costs, increase customer satisfaction. The use AI to support operations and this decision making. Management then starts implementing AI agent across the organization. Customer service deploys an AI agent to answer and resolve complaints. Finance deploys an agent to review invoices. HR deploys an agent to screen applications. So compliance deploys an agent to monitor transaction. On paper, progress looks impressive, right? Don't you agree? But now the board should ask a few questions. Where exactly is the AI being used? Which decision are being influenced or made by AI? Who owns each AI system? What is the risk classification? What human oversight exists? How are incidents reported? What third-party vendors are involved? Has management defined what AI may never do? These are not technical questions. These are governance questions, and they belong to the boardroom. So I hope that the PDF that I give you guys, all the information is there. Just make your notes. That's why I've created that for this session. So you guys have a structured document where you can take this information after this session and implement it in your company. All right, great. So this is what I call the governance gap. The gap is not between humans and machines. The gap is between adoption and governance. So many organizations are adopting AI faster than they are governing AI. Employees are using AI tools before policies even exist. Like I've seen that in a lot of companies. Everybody has its own ChatGPT account. One of them is using it free. They don't even know how to configure it, and they start putting company information in it. And some of them never even creates an account in ChatGPT, and they start pumping data. So you're actually pumping your company data publicly, because if you don't have an account, then everything you put into ChatGPT, it goes to ChatGPT. It goes to OpenAI. OpenAI learns from that. And I've even demonstrated that with a single prompt, I can access your company information. I've demonstrated that in a physical workshop, and people were still. Everybody was silent in the room. And then I told them, yes, these are things you guys are doing, and stop doing it. There are specific ways that you need to configure your ChatGPT account or any AI tool that you guys are using. So those are very alarming things that I see. So departments are experimenting before inventories even exist. Vendors are embedding AI into products before risk assessments are being performed. Managers are using AI generated insight before uh, ex- explanatory and validation, and they don't even understand data. So, and they are letting AI generate those insights. Remember, when you're using AI, it doesn't mean that you have to stop using your brain. You need to know the data because you're in the company. You need to start you're gonna use more of your brain when using AI than ever before. Because AI, let's face it, guys, AI lies to you a lot, and people don't know that. I'm telling you, AI can lie into your face without you even knowing that. But if you're on top of your game, if you know your company, if you know your company data, if you know everything about your company, you will never know everything about your company, but the majority of things within your business unit, then you will begin to start flagging those. You will start seeing those red flags that AI produces, and AI hallucinates. So I don't know if you know that, but AI hallucinates. It comes up with something that doesn't even exist, and it puts it on screen so confidently that you believe that that exists. So the next time you ask a question, you should also put into your prompt, hey, where did you get that information from? Give me the resource. Give me the specific link. And you will see most of the time it cannot find that link. It will tell you, hey, I just made that up. So that's a simple trick that you can use to know if AI is hallucinating and if it's telling you accurate information. So the next time you send a prompt into ChatGPT or any other tool that you're using, tell it to give you the references. Where is it getting that information from? Because misinformation is all over the place. And if it's getting the information from those misinformation website, what happens a lot, because we as company, we we put our company data that should be publicly available on our website. But how many of you guys have a website and it's up to date? Can you guys answer in the chat how much of you guys have a website and it's up to date, like up to date with data from yesterday? Yeah. But these fake websites, they have up to date misleading data until the second, until the hour of the day. They have that misinformation, and they know exactly how to curate that information and how to feed it to those AI in the world, like OpenAI, like Claude. They know exactly how to do that. So that is why when you ask a question, it goes and it indexes the whole world, and it gives you that misinformation. That is why you also need to do your due diligence. You also need to do that second check. Hey, that is the link. Let me click on it. If it doesn't open, it's not good information, or the site has been taken down, right? Those things happens daily. Sites are being taken down with misinformation. So those are things that you guys need to check when you're interacting with your AI agent. So this does not happen because leaders are careless, okay? It happens because AI adoption is so easy. It happens because, um, uh, uh, yeah, it's AI is so easy. So they most of the time they miss that part, and that's okay. But that's why we're here today, and I'm telling you guys what to do, how you can do that, and how you can make AI adoption safe. Governance require discipline, right? You cannot open an AI account you can open an AI account in minutes, right? But building a governance framework takes leadership, It takes ownership. It takes policies, rules, risk management, control, monitoring, training, and continuously improving. This is so important. Continuously improving. You cannot think that, hey, today you have implemented something, and when it starts working, hey, I'm done. We're successful. I'm gonna leave it to the AI agent and it will do its thing. No, it's continuously improving, and that is why in this AI era, we need to use our brain at the fullest capacity, because you cannot leave everything to AI, because there is so much misinformation out there, people. You cannot imagine how many misinformation there is, because they are faster. It's just like when you have criminals and you have the justice, right? Criminals are always one step ahead of justice. And that is the same with AI. Misinformation is so fast because they are making so much money out of misinformation. They have the budget in order to do that. And that is why it's so dangerous, and that is why governance is so important within your company. You guys need to protect your company. When adoption moves faster than governance, organizations create hidden risks. And hidden risk is the most dangerous kind that there is. So these are things that we guys need to look for. So if we look at governance, governance really needs a system. A policy alone is not enough. A checklist alone is not enough, right? A committee alone is not enough. Good governance requires an operating system. And what do I mean by that is, let's say an organization needs a repeatable way to identify AI systems, to assess the risk, to assign accountability, to even define the controls that you need to implement, monitor the performance, manage incident, review suppliers, train people, and improve over time. That is so important because we're moving so fast. You cannot stay behind, or else you're gonna be something people will say, oh, that company existed. It's not existed. Don't be that Kodak. Don't be Kodak. Let me just say that, right? We know, everybody knows what happened to Kodak, right? So without a system, governance becomes personally driven, and that is what we do not want. It depends on who happens to be in the room. It depends on who remembers to ask the right question. It depends on whether the department chooses to escalate an issue. That is not reliable. A management system creates structure. It turns good intentions into repeatable practice. And that is where ISO 42001 becomes highly relevant. So I hope that that lands to you guys. And there is a question from Pernama. I hope I pronounced it good. Persat. Does the use of RAG prevent hallucination? And is the use of RAG considered as best practice at this point in time? Okay, retrieval augmented generation, that is RAG. So a lot of company have that. So what RAG is that you can when you have a lot of documents, you can convert that into a RAG system. And what a RAG does, it breaks those 100 pages that you have into smaller chunks, right? And it puts it in a database. And then your AI can read those chunks. If you ask a question like, where are you guys located? Then it will go into your RAG database and it will look for specific chunks, and chunks can be a sentence or a part of a sentence. And if that part of the sentence is in that chunk, it will retrieve that. And sometimes that information is divided into multiple chunks. right? And when it retrieves that information, it will go through that and it will answer the question. And your question about hallucination, it happens a lot in RAG. If you There are different types of RAG. There are, and the most commonly is naive RAG. So I'm going a little bit technical here. Uh, just so there are different kinds of RAG, and the typical RAG that hallucinates a lot is naive RAG. So I won't go deeper in that. That's a whole nother. That's a training on itself. So how RAG works. So just to answer it, yes, RAG hallucinates a lot if you do not know how to set it up correctly. So it needs to be not only you just use RAG and it puts it in a vector database. A vector database is just a place where you install RAG on, and all those documents get saved in that, right? That's a vector database, and and if the most of the time it hallucinates because maybe you can have a word that is in different chunks of your text, but they are unrelated with each other, but that word comes into that chunk. So it get confused and it mix up that information, and that is where hallucination comes. There are systems that you can set up to create a better RAG that doesn't hallucinate. So we can go deep in that. I'm kind of specialized in RAG, so I can tell you a lot of that. But hey, just the simplest answer is that it hallucinates if you do not know how to set it up. So there is Kevin Bagelu. Recently, I have seen that CSEC is stopping the SBA and restoring to written exam or assessing because it is being alleged that students are using AI platform today. Yeah. Not sure if this is a good or bad thing. I have been asked to review a few of them by some students who reached out, and I saw instances where information used may have been okay. It may have been inaccurate. Yeah, when in fact check the verify it, it wasn't actual. Okay, yeah, those things happen, and I have done a webinar for specifically for teachers that in the new era of AI, how they need to teach. It's not the traditional way, and examining will change over time. It's already changing. So all these assessment and exams that are being given, you will see people are using different kinds of strategy to implement these exam in order to start using the thinking power of the students than the students using AI to just answer the question. So I've done a whole series on that in Suriname for teachers. We were I had nearly 300 teachers in the session, and they were mind blown that I gave them this framework to implement in the Suriname sector. So maybe if there is enough animo, I can do that. I can do that also for the whole Caribbean, because I've built out a whole framework and I've taught it, and you see that teachers are more practical now. They are changing the way they are examining students, and it helps. Then that is where, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure, that might have been an error from someone
Oh,
who was unmuted, but I did want to
okay.
ask Brian, because I've
Yeah,
been thinking about this slide that you have up. So a lot of times we do encourage organizations to ensure they have well-written policies.
yeah,
And we practice having internal controls and systems that may identify that the policy is being followed. But
yeah,
when you say governance needs a system,
yeah.
uh, I'm trying to see that big picture view in terms of what that would look like. So,
Okay.
um, can you give us an example? For instance, if someone is using an AI agent,
Yeah,
let's say the purpose of the agent is to help with answering emails
Yeah.
or possibly assisting with marketing tasks.
Yeah.
So you have policies that speaks to the use of AI agents. You may actually have, as you explained to us earlier, you must have a description of what exactly this AI agent is meant to do, just as with a human agent, you have a job description.
Correct.
Um, but so what would a governance system look like
Okay. Great
in use
question.
of agent?
Yeah, that's a very great question. And I was waiting actually for that question. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, you will
happy not
notice
to
sometimes.
disappoint you.
Yeah. So you will notice sometimes I say a lot and I want to pull out the question from the audience. So and I'm very grateful for that. So yeah. So what I mean about system is I've spoken about the SOP of the AI agent, right? And you have your policy, your governing policy, every different policies in your company, as in how humans should use AI, but there also should be an policy for the AI, and that is where AI governance come in place. So both policies, we take them, we merge them, we put them in an application system. So we build a specific governance structure, and that is software that is specifically for your company. And the AI needs to go through that whole process every time something happens, and that is how you create a governance system for AI agents. So it's man and machine working together, and when you have everything documented, you will see that when an AI does something, it goes and it does all those control steps before acting upon something. And when you have this in place as a system, then you can always audit that system. Then you that in my previous slides I've spoken about how you can audit it at every level. You can do then a root cause analysis, because right now if you don't have a system, you have policies, right? Yes, maybe you have a specific document that every person in your company needs to sign, because to just show you that they have read those policies, but you don't have uh, you're not sitting with those colleagues to monitor them, as in are they actually using the policy and implementing the policy. So when you have that automated system in place, it it helps you as a business leader, it helps you as a colleague govern AI better. So that is what we do. We take all those policy, we put it in a software system that we call governance, right? As a system, it's going to be an operating system, just like you have Windows and Linux and Apple. You will create your own operating system, and that will become the brain, the second brain of your company, that is governing everything that is happening. And you can use that same system for your employees also, because it will govern your employee also, as in if they make wrong choices, or the choices that is not in compliant with your governance structure. So that is what I've meant by governance need a system. If you don't have a system in place, then you don't know what's happening in your company at any moment in time, right? So most companies don't have a system. They just have loose application all over the place, and when something happens, they run all over the place and they start gathering information. But if you have a system, then it's all on your dashboard. You just look and you see, oh, it's our knowledge that needs to be updated. Oh, it's maybe Peter that did something that made the AI agent act in this way. So that is what I meant by a system. And this is not only true for governance, it's true for every organization. If you want the organization to run very lean, you need to create systems and not just buy a flashy application. If, I hope it makes sense, and I hope the question has been answered.
Well, for me, I think because we have not used AI agents in the
Hmm.
past,
Yeah.
um, picturing what would happen is still a little bit vague, but it's helping me to understand what to expect
Yeah.
in the event I choose to use an AI agent, and therefore to be cautious in
Yes.
ensuring I have these kinds of things in place first.
Yes. Correct. And the great thing about it is that all of this, what I've told you guys, you don't have to reinvent it. It's already there. And the most brilliant part of this is that you can use AI to assist with creating that system. So you don't, so you can make that process faster now. A few years ago it would be it would have been a hassle. You would have a lot of consultants needs to come in and etc etc. Now you just hire one or two professionals in that space, and they help you implement it with AI, and you learn on that process also. That is what we do when we do a process like this, a change management process where we implement all these things. We bring management also on board. We teach them how to use it, because it doesn't make sense if we do an implementation for your company and you don't even know how it works, right? You need to know every single part, why it works, how it works, so that when something goes wrong, then you know how to troubleshoot it and not call me every time, because I don't want that, because it will cost you money when you call me, right? So I'm trying to save you guys money by teaching you how to do it, and that is the right way to do it. Yeah. So I hope the question has been answered, and I know and you know how to do that now, right? Great.
Definitely helps knowing that even the agents can help in developing the systems.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Although I have been thinking, Brian, quite
Mhm.
honestly, we may need to invite you back for another workshop where, if there are people who are interested in understanding a step-by-step process,
Yeah.
that we look at something more detailed like that.
Yes, yes. Remember, this will differ for every type of company, because it's
Mhm.
very tailor-made. So I can do a general, just like this workshop here, where you get all the great questions that needs to be asked within your company, and from there we can dive down. And that's why I'm going to give you guys the assessment tool. Take the assessment for yourself, so you and have a if you don't understand the questions, then you can have your IT or someone that is a little bit technical, or you can even use AI to help
Mhm.
you understand the question, because it's all based on ISO 42001. So and
Okay.
that will help you assess yourself, and then from there we can dive in deeply. But hey, we can do that session. It's not going to be very in depth, but we
We,
can
we'd select, we'll select a
yeah,
few people
yeah,
who are truly interested so that you
yes,
could go in
yes,
depth and not have a wide range of different types of companies in different
correct,
sectors.
correct,
So we'll
yeah,
discuss that.
all right,
Because
great,
I am interested for us to understand for an NGO like us how
yeah,
we can be more effective as well.
yes, yes, okay, no worries. Okay, so I've been talking for 1 hour and one and a half
Yes.
hours.
Would you like to take a break now, Brian? Because we normally do take a half-hour
Okay.
break at this point.
Okay, yeah, sure. We can take a break. Then I can grab something to.
To eat, yes,
Yeah,
have a
yeah,
drink, have a quick bio break and
yeah,
stuff. All
yeah,
right, so for all of our participants who are familiar with us and our workshops at CCGI, you know that at this point we normally take a half-hour break. We'll make it just a few minutes under a half hour, so we are looking to come back at the top of the hour.
yeah.
The room remains open. You can leave your devices connected as you have your quick break. If it is that you do need to leave the room, that's not an issue because our team will be here to let you back in for the resumption of the workshop. Please log in at least 5 minutes beforehand so we don't keep Brian back, to ensure that we continue, because this is really interesting stuff. And I think I appreciate certainly, but we all should have a foundation understanding of
Yeah.
using agentic AI before we actually unleash it in our organizations. We're all
Exactly.
hearing you need to use AI, but let's make sure we're equipping ourselves to use it right. So
Yes. Use
we go
it the
on a
right.
short break.
Use it the right way. Yeah.
Yes. And I'll see you guys in a half hour again. So you can
Yeah.
have a
For
nice lunch break.
yeah. Before you guys go, I just want to say I'm at slide 13 and I have 59 slides.
Okay, good. So when we come back, we are moving on steroids. Now
So
that I know that, I would encourage you and urge you on. Okay, let's see the next slide because I
yeah,
am
yeah,
interested to see all of this.
yeah. I have a
Thank
lot
you.
of
Thank
goodies
you, Brian.
that I'm going to give you guys. So I hope the 3 hours is enough.
Okay. All right, great. Yes. Thanks, Brian.
All right.
Have a good break, everyone.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
We're back. So thank you so much. I hope everyone had a great lunch. I was trying to eat and do some other tasks, so of course I didn't finish. So you'll forgive me. I'm welcoming everyone, and then I'm going to take off my video so I can finish my meal while I listen to Brian. Brian, I hope you had a great meal.
Yes, yes, yes. Most of the time when I have these workshop, I eat very light, or else
Right. Yes,
yeah,
yes, because you have to talk
I
so much.
cannot perform. Yeah.
Understood, agreed. All right. Well, thank you very much, Brian. Welcome back, everyone. Do you want me? I normally do a quick roll call. Ask everyone who is present, please put up your virtual hands so we know at least half the class is present for Brian to continue. So we have Novak in the room. Who else? Let's quickly see some hands. Stacy Samuel says she's here. Latoya is here. Uh, Andy is here. Shelly, Suzette here. Charlene. All right, awesome. I think we can continue. Thank you, Donika. Appreciate it. All right, so we have Keisha as well. Excellent, excellent. Right, Brian. So
Okay.
over to you.
Thank you. Awesome. So I want to dive a little bit into ISO 42001. It is an international management system standard for artificial intelligence. You guys can look it up. Um, but let me translate that into simple language so that we all understand what's it about. So it is not a standard that tells you which AI model to buy. It is not a standard that tells you which vendor is the best vendor. It is not a programming manual. It is a framework that helps an organization manage AI responsibly. So it asks the organization to define its context, leadership responsibilities, the policies, the risk processes, objectives, um, controls, operational processes, monitoring, internal audit, and management review. So it's a mouthful. In other words, it helps organizations move from AI experiments to governed AI operations. For executives, that is important because it gives structure to a complex topic. Because we all know AI is a very complex topic, right? And instead of asking vague questions like, are we doing AI responsibly? The organization can ask more concrete questions like, do we have an AI policy? Do you guys have an AI policy? Do we know which AI systems we use? How many of you guys know which AI systems you guys are using in the company? Are you aware of that? Um, have we assessed all the risk and impacts in our company? Have we defined human oversight? Do we monitor AI performance? Have we Do we have an incident management process in place? Do we review and improve the systems? It's not you set up a system and it's done. It's continuously improving. That is the value of a management system, and I think that you guys can relate. For those who are ISO certified or in that process, you can relate that the AI, that ISO 42001 is similarly but on another level. All right. So one mistake a organization often make is thinking that a management system is paperwork. I think you guys can familiarize with that, but it's not paperwork. Paperwork is evidence. The system is the behavior. So if a policy exists but no one follows it, there is no real system, right? So If a risk register exists, let's say, um, if a risk register exists, but high risk AI project bypass it, then there is no real system. We all can agree on that, right? So if an approval workflow exists, but managers treat it as formality, there is no real system. And that happens a lot. But with AI, it's going to be on a next level. So if you miss that part, if you haven't implemented that part, it can be devastating. With all other systems, yeah, it's okay. You can look through your fingers, but the moment you start implementing AI, it's another ball game. So a management system lives, um, it lives in how decisions are made. It lives in how projects are approved. It lives in how risks are assessed. It lives on how exceptions are handled, or how incidents are escalated, or let's say how leadership reviews performance within the company. This is why AI governance cannot be reduced to a document stored in your shared drive or your OneDrive or your SharePoint, or where you guys put your document. So documents are important. I just want to say that. But governance must become part of the organization's operating rhythm. It's a rhythm within your organization. So they go hand in hand. And there are seven principles I want us to keep in mind throughout this workshop. So those are transparency and explainability, repeatability, and um, reproducibility, safety, inclusive growth, societal and environmental well-being. And we have then security, privacy, and robustness, fairness, data governance, accountability, and human agency. So these principles sounds abstract until we apply them to real business decisions. For example, transparency asks whether people can understand when AI is being used and why a decision was made. Fairness asks whether the system treats people consistently and avoid unjust bias, because we are all biased, and that is something we need to look into. Security and privacy ask whether data and systems are protected. Accountability asks whether humans remain responsible. Data governance asks whether the data is appropriate, accurate, protected, and representative. These are not just ethical statements. They are practical government's requirements. When we look at agentic AI, these principles help us ask better questions, right? So if we move on, human oversight, I would say it's not a slogan. It's a design decision we make. Organization often say, well, there will always be a human involved, but what does that mean? Have you asked that question? Is the human making the decision? Is the human reviewing the decision? Is the human only monitoring after the decision has already been made? Is the human able to stop the system? Is the human trained to challenge the AI? Does the human have enough time and information to review the output properly? There are three useful models we can use in this case, and that is human in the loop means yeah, the AI recommends and the human decides. Human in the loop also means the AI acts, but humans supervise and can intervene, right? Human in the loop also means the AI act independently within defined boundaries, right? Each model may be appropriately in different contexts, but leaders like you guys must choose deliberately. And the worst approach is pretending there is a human oversight when the human is only rubber stamping the AI. Do you want that? So that's why it's very important. And that's why I say it's implementing AI in your company. It's not just buying the best AI model and implementing it. It's an ecosystem that you need to create. So the first step towards accountability is visibility. You cannot govern what you cannot see, right? And that is why AI inventory is so important. Many organizations do not actually know how many AI systems are already in use. Do you guys know that? Have you guys done that in your company? Right? Some are official, if you guys are using Microsoft 365, then Microsoft Copilot is embedded. So that is kind of official, but not many companies are using it still. They are using other models, other tools, right? Some are embedded in software products. Some are used by employees informally, right? Yes, correct. It's data chaos. Some are used by some are even built into vendor platforms. Like when you're using SaaS platform, everybody is screaming AI. Our platform is built with AI. We have AI built in, and some are pilot project that never went through formal approval. Like we're experimenting on something with your company data. Those things are happening. An AI inventory creates visibility, and visibility is only the beginning, because each AI system needs an owner who is responsible for the system. Which business process does it support? What decision does it affect? What data does it use? What risk category does it fall into? You have different risk categories. What controls do we apply? When organizations create an inventory and assign ownership, then AI moves from actually being invisible technology to governed organizational capability. And that is where we want to be. you know so the board does not need to operate the AI governance system. You don't have time for that. That is management's role, but the board must oversee it. This distinction is very important. Boards should not be reviewing every prompt, every model, every data set, or even every technical configuration. That is not what the board should be. But sorry, board should be asking whether management has implemented an effective governance framework. They should ask whether AI is aligned with strategy and risk appetite. They should be asking whether high impact AI systems are identified. Where are they in the organization? They should ask human oversight, if human oversight is meaningful. They should ask whether AI incident are reported. Are they being reported, and to whom they are being reported, right? And asking whether management understands regulatory obligation, whether organization has the competence to govern AI. This is similar to cybersecurity. If you guys have implemented the cybersecurity policies within your company, then this should feel familiar. So the board does not configure firewalls, but it it absolutely oversees cyber risk. So AI should be treated with the same seriousness like cybersecurity because it is. So moving on, not every AI system deserves the same level of control. I've spoken about AI, but we have different levels of AI, and that is very important. If we treat every AI use case as high risk, governance become too heavy, and people will work around it. I don't know if you've come across this with other governance policy, etc. That when people think that something is too complex, they start looking for other ways to work around it, and that can become very dangerous. If we treat every AI use case as low risk, we expose the organization. So we need to take both into consideration. So the answer is proportionally governance. So it should be based on the risk, how high it is, how low it is, on which data it is being implemented. So control should match consequence. And AI tools that help draft internal meeting notes may not be or may not even need the same control as an AI system that influence credit approval or employment decision or medical triage or even let's say public benefits. So before we scale AI, we must classify it, right? And the classification is, what is the use case? That's the first question. The other one is, who is affected? What decision is influenced by the implementation? What could go wrong? How reversible is the decision that we make? What human oversight exists? How much autonomy does the AI have? So classification all allows the organization to apply the right level of governance. And if you do that, then you're starting to create systems. And impact becomes, let's say, so impact, it actually comes before risk. And that may sound subtle, but it matters. Risk asks, what can go wrong, right? So if you're talking about risk, then that's the question you ask, what can go wrong? And impact is who or what is affected. So if an AI system recommend which marketing message to send, the impact may be limited. But if an AI system influence whether someone gets a loan, a job, an insurance payment, or access to public service, the impact is much greater. I think you guys can agree with that. So when we understand the impact, we understand the weight of the decision, then we can ask then we can assess the risk appropriately. And too often organizations jump straight into technical risk. Is the model accurate? Is the data secure? Those questions actually matter, but we must also ask human and organizational question, because that's the first thing that will get impacted. I mean, the default question is which model, which data security, etc. Those are in most cases, those are very well set in a good system. But the most important question are the organizational question. So who is affected by the system? Could it disadvantage a group? Could it reduce access to certain people or certain groups of certain anything? Could it create unfair outcomes? Could it damage trust? So impact assessment forces us to look beyond technology and examine the consequences, and that is very serious. So a practical AI risk classification can be very simple. You can have a low, medium, and high, and you have critical. So low risk AI supports productivity, but it does not materially affect people, money, or even rights to access certain system. A medium risk AI may influence internal decision but remain supervised. A high risk AI affects customers, employees, financial outcomes, legal obligation, or access to services. And a critical AI may affect safety, essential services, regulatory compliance, human rights, or major financial exposure. And the exact categories can vary by organization and organization type. So that is why I told you guys that implementing this is very company specific. And what matters is that the organization has a method. Without classification, every AI project becomes a debate. With classifications in place, governance becomes repeatable. And that is what you want. The board and executive team can define thresholds. For example, low risk uses maybe, let's say, approved by management. High risk may require risk review, and critical uses may require executive or board level visibility. And that is how governance become operational in a company, and not a document that sits somewhere on your drive. That is how you combine both worlds into one. So the risk is not only in the model. This is another major misunderstanding I see. People often ask, yeah, which model are we using? That is important. That is important. Yes, yes. But um, it's not enough. Risk can either it can either enter to the data. Um, is the data accurate, complete, right? Representative and lawful. So risk can enter through the workflow. Where does AI output go? Who reviews it? What system does it update? Risk can enter through the user interface. Does the human understand what the AI is recommending? Risk can enter through automation. Does the AI only advise or does it act? So risk can enter through vendors. That happens. Who built the system? Where is the data processed? What what contractual how do you call it protection exists? So risk can enter through organizational culture. Are people over trusting the AI because it sounds confident, right? AI governance must look at the full system and not only the algorithm. So I hope this is making sense for you guys in how to implement agentic AI within your company. So once you understand risk, we can then move to controls. And controls are okay, great, great, great. I love it if it makes sense. Yes. So control are the practical mechanism that keeps AI aligned with the organization's objectives and risk appetite. So some control are preservative. They stop problems before they even happen. For example, approval workflow, access restriction, prohibited use rules, let's say training requirements. or a vendor due diligence and design reviews. So some control are yeah, detective, will I say? So they help us notice when something is going wrong. For example, a monitoring dashboard, audit logs, bias testing, right? Drift detection. That is something that goes hand in hand with AI, because sometimes AI drift. I don't know if you guys, if you're chatting with ChatGPT or any kind of a tool, and you're in the conversation and you see that the conversation is drifting away from the context that you had in your head. So that is something that happens a lot. So drift detection, complaint channels, and exception report. And these some controls are, let's say, they can be corrective. They help us respond after an issue has occurred, because you cannot oversee everything, right? For example, incident management, rollback procedures. If you implement something like, this is not a AI system, but if you have a system and you're making backup, and something goes wrong, you need to be able to roll back to the previous state, right? And let's say a human review, a corrective action, and management reviews. Those are all controls that are corrective. And good governance combines all these three into one. So prevention without detection is blind, and detection without correction is weak, and correction without learning is repetition. So I hope this make sense. And the meaningful, if we look at meaningful human oversight, must be this must be designed. It does not happen by accident. There are several question leaders should ask in this, and maybe you've noticed, but this workshop is more about asking questions. Because if you know how to ask the right questions, you will get the right answers. And that is the same when you're communicating with AI. If you know how to prompt the AI, you will get better responses. And that's the whole point of this workshop. Learning to ask better question, and the actually question that matters, right? It does not happen by accident. There are several questions that we should really ask. First is, does the human reviewer have enough information to challenge the AI output? Because that is something you need to do. Challenge it. Not everything you need to accept. Second is, does the reviewer have the authority to override the AI? And third is, does the reviewer have enough time to review properly? Because sometimes you're overwhelmed by all this information, and do you have time to do that? And fourth, is the reviewer trained to understand AI limitation? That is very important, because I see everybody implementing AI, but they don't see the limitation. And once you know the limitation, you know how to structure your question. And fifth is the review documented? Because sometimes we review something, but it's in our head. So how are you going to tell your colleague what went wrong, and how will you solve that problem? So meaningful oversight means that the human can understand, challenge, escalate, and even override and document. So if a human cannot do those things, the organization may have the appearance of control without really control. So and in governance, appearance is never enough. Let's see what I have found, that knowing how to ask the AI right questions makes it work more efficiently. Asking too wide questions sometimes gives absurd answer. Yes, you're correct, Maxwell. And that's why I'm telling you guys this. And that's why this workshop is all about asking questions. Because we I don't know about Trinidad and the other Caribbean countries, but here in Suriname, we are raised to not ask a question. Even in school, when you ask a question, the teacher say, "Hey, you need to shut up and listen to what I say." And I don't know if you guys can relate, but this is actually happening. And that's a major issue right now within the AI space. And we need to start not only in our company, but in our homes. That is where it also starts. We need to learn our children to ask critical questions, because that will make them have a job in the future or not, because those who can think will be the ones that will have the better jobs in the future, and those who cannot think will be living on yeah, I don't want to say it, but they will be the one that will dive deeper into poverty and will not have a job because AI will take over their job. And this is serious. This is serious, people. I am seeing this happening here in Suriname. So yes, it will also improve their critical thinking. Correct, correct. And it's a skill. And I've been advocating this in Suriname and all over where I go. I say, hey, you guys need to start asking better questions. So yeah, so the board does not need to approve every AI system. That would be impractical. But the board should ensure that approval threshold exists. For example, a low-risk AI tool may be approved by a department level, right? A medium risk may be approved by a compliance or IT governance. A high-risk AI system may require executive committee to approve. A critical system may require board visionary or board level oversight. So the point is not to centralize every decision. The point is to define when decision must escalate, and good governance create clear escalation rules. And people should know when an AI use case can proceed, when it needs review, when it must be stopped. So without threshold, AI governance become inconsistent, and that is where the small problem starts to seep in. And some teams will over approve, and that is also dangerous. Other will under approve. That will only lag the system. Um, some will want to move fast, the other will want to wait. All these things happen. So a clear approval model help the organization innovate responsibly. And that is why we need to have this system in place. So it is not 100% dependent on humans, because if you have a system, then everyone knows how to act when something happens. It's not that when something happens at the cashier needs to run to the manager, and the manager even doesn't know what to do because nothing is defined. It's the same principle. So when things are well defined, everything runs smooth within the organization. And I'm saying this, but not all companies will have 100% optimized system, and that is okay. That is where you build it one step at a time, one step at a time. It's not something you do in a month or in a day or in a week. It takes years to develop this. So and that is where ISO 42001 becomes very practical. It takes governance concept and turns them into operating model, and it helps organization define leadership commitment, policies, risk processes, rules, objectives, controls, monitoring, audit, and improvement. And that matters because AI governance cannot depend on good intentions alone, because not everyone has good intentions. Maybe you came with good intentions, but let's say you've woken up with on the wrong side of the bed, I mean, those things happen. What happens then? You know, it must become a repeatable management practice. When people ask, why do we need a standard? My answer is simple, because complexity requires structure. AI is too important to manage informally. You cannot do that. The more AI becomes embedded in business processes, the more organizations need systems to manage it. And the ISO 42001 provide that it provides that structure that you can implement. It does not remove judgment. Just let me say it doesn't remove judgment from your company. It just provides you the structure. It strengthens judgment by giving leaders a framework for asking the right question consistently. That is what it is. So moving forward, an AI management system, if when we're so AIMS, it's short for AI management system, is like a operating system for AI governance. Think of it this way: your organization already has system for finance, HR, quality, cybersecurity, maybe privacy and risk, right? Those systems help you manage complexity. An AI management system does the same for AI. It defines the context, right? Why are we using AI? What external and internal issues matter? It defines the policy, and uh, what are the principles and boundaries. It defines also those roles, who is accountable. It defines risk management. How do we identify, assess, and treat AI risk? It defines operations. How do we develop, deploy, monitor, and improve AI systems? It defines audit and review. How do we know the system is working, right? That is why I like to call it an operating system, because it actually is. It helps the organization run AI responsibly. And there are 7 building blocks I want you guys to remember. The first is, let's go from bottom to top, and that is context. Then you have leadership, planning, support, operation, performance evaluation, and improvement. These may sound like management system language, but they are very practical. Context, when we look at context asks where AI fits in the organization. Leadership asks who is accountable. Planning is ask what risk and objective must be addressed. Support asks what sources, competence, awareness, and documentations are needed. Operations will ask how AI is controlled throughout the whole life cycle. And performance evaluation asks how the organization monitors, audit, and review the system. And when we look at improvement, improvement asks the organization, ask how the organization learns from incident, findings, and change. If if any of these building blocks is missing, the governance system becomes weaker. I think, and that is why AI governance must be holistic. So it's a complete ecosystem, and we need to have that in the back of our heads. And leadership cannot delegate accountability. Tasks can be delegated. Authority can be delegated. Execution can be delegated. But if we look at accountability, accountability remains the organization, it remains with the organization and its leaders. This is one of the most important governance truth in the in the era of agentic AI. If an AI vendor makes a mistake, right? Your customer still looks at your organization, not the vendor. It looks at your organization, because your organization is handling that customer. right? If an AI system treats people unfairly, your employees and regulators look at your company, your organization. If an AI agent causes operational damage, your board cannot simply say the AI did it, right? AI does not remove accountability, people. It changes how accountability must be managed. This is why leaders must be careful not to hide behind technology. And I see it, and I see this happening. If when AI has done something unappropriately of it made a mistake. Yeah, that's the question people say. The AI did it. Yeah, but who's responsible? Who do you guys start to understand the whole system? So AI can support your decision, AI can automate tasks, AI can accelerate work, but leadership remains responsible for the AI in which AI operates, right? Um, I hope this makes sense. Are there any questions from the audience?
I'm not seeing any question right now in the chat, Brian, but that's because all that you've said so far makes such good, perfect sense. I love how the steps build one onto the other. So,
Yes, yes. I've worked on it weeks in preparation just to make it a good flow because everything is in my head, and
right.
I have so many. I've written the book about it, and I wanted to
Yes, yes, yes.
structure it.
Tell us a little bit about your book as well, because
Yes,
so for me there are two options, and we're only basically, we're not finished with this workshop. I
yes,
certainly am quite interested in learning more from you now with the specifics of how to well, I guess the word would be purchase AIs, right?
yes,
So that's one thing. So we may very well be reaching out to you
yes,
for that. But also, if we purchased your book, does it cover all of these elements? And therefore,
yes.
and where can we purchase it?
Yes, this book is written. The sixth pillar of the board level AI governance that I spoke about. It's in it. I have a complete AI governance charter template that you guys can use in the book. I have 40 ready to use board questions, and I've some of them are in here. Um, I even have a 90-day sprint that you can build governance from scratch. So that is it's actually a book that will guide you step by step into that whole process, and even how to build that trust dividend, how you can create competitive assets within your
Okay.
company. So
Is the book
it's
available in
that.
e-copy?
Not yet. It's only
Oh,
hard copy for now. I think in a month or two I will do a digital version because right now I only have physical copies, and it's available here in Australia. But I can even if you guys are interested, I can send it over there. So it's right now it's
mhm.
paperback. The Amazon version is coming out soon. We're busy with that part. So it will come, and as soon as it's live, I will tell you guys.
All right, well, that sounds good. So as soon as, yes, a digital version is available, you could let us know. I don't mind sharing the link to your digital version with all the
Yeah.
participants who are here today as well,
Yeah.
because I think we are all very interested
Okay.
in
Okay. Great. That is exactly why I've written it. It's based on experience from 2018 until now. So all the years of experience I had, and the implementation we did, the issues we saw, and with the AI, the ISO 42001, I've based the book around that whole thing. So you guys have a handbook that you can implement. And if you don't know how to do it, you guys can also contact me and I'll help you implement it. So that's awesome. So moving back to the workshop, if you look at policy, right? Policy must become a decision architecture. A policy should not simply say use AI responsibly. Everyone agrees with that sentence. Yeah, we should use AI responsibly. But the question is that how does that work in practice? A useful AI policy defines boundaries, um, what AI uses are allowed, right? How much of AI can I use in a company? What uses are prohibited? Because we talk about what's allowed, but we also need to talk about what's prohibited. What data may be used? Which sensitive data are allowed? Which not? What must never be uploaded to public tools? When is human review required? How are incidents reported? How are vendors assessed? When policy is translated into decision architecture, people know what to do. They know when they can move quickly, when they can move slow, when they can slow down, when they can escalate, when they can stop. And also, policy becomes very practical when you do it this way. And then everything will start making sense. Um, if we look at the roles, the roles must also follow a life cycle, because AI governance is not only about deployment, and that is the only thing that I see happening. They are looking at deployment, 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 but governance starts when the idea is proposed. It starts at the idea level, not at deployment level. So why do we want this AI system? That's the question you guys need to ask. It's not the hype. It's the right question you need to ask, because sometimes you don't even need AI in your company. But everyone is fighting to implement AI. Who's the first? And before you know it, everybody they're still doing the same thing. So what business problem does it solve? These are business questions that you need to ask. Who will be affected? What data will it use? Then governance continues through design, procurement, development, testing, deployment, monitoring, change management, and even the whole retirement process. So at each stage, different roles are needed. Business owners defined the purpose and the accountability, and the technical team, they build and maintain it. Then we have the risk and compliant, they assess the obligations. The data owners, they ensure data quality and legality. That is what the data owners are supposed to do. And then the user provide feedback. And that is then you bring it into a continuously loop. And then you have the internal audit. They provide independent assurance. Senior management, they will review the performance. And then the board oversee the whole system. And if roles are unclear, then accountability disappears between departments. And that is why roles are so important to define very clearly. And moving on to documented information. Document information is organization evidence. It's evidence for you. This may sound a little bit administrative, but it's very critical. How many of you guys are documenting everything you do? Sometimes I see when I talk to employees of other companies, they say, "Hey, I have everything in my head, and this way the boss cannot fire me." Maybe you guys, maybe it's relatable, but that is actually happening here. Documentation is a must. I have a strict rule in my company. If you have done something, you document it, so you create a dummy proof document that if I give a 5-year-old, it can reproduce your steps. That is mandatory within my company. Every new thing that you have learned, we create systems. So because let's say you're sick, the operation stops. You cannot move forward. And that is why systems are documenting everything is very critical. This may sound administrative, but I just want to emphasize it's very critical. If something goes wrong, the organization must be able to show what happened, who approved the system, what risks were identified, the root cause, what control were implemented, what testing was performed, what human oversight was designed, what incident were reported, what corrective actions were taken. So documentation is not bureaucracy, people. It's not bureaucracy when it protects trust. It is evidence that the organization acted responsibly, and that will cover all of us. There is a saying, it covers your ass, right? And that is so true. In the AI context, this becomes even more important because decision may be complex and automated. If you cannot explain how a system was governed, it becomes harder to define the organization actions. So good documentations supports accountability. It supports auditability, and it also supports learning. And this makes your company very lean, and you can grow faster. So yeah, so the aims must live. It cannot sit on a shelf. A beautiful AI governance manual, it means very little if employees do not know it exists. Because sometimes I see companies, they are ISO certified, but the document lives on a shared drive where management only have access. But the operational people, they don't even know that such a document exists, and that is where things goes wrong. So a risk register means very little if it's never updated. An incident procedure means very little if people do not know how to report concerns. A management system must become part of the organization rhythm that I've already told you guys. So it should show up in project approvals, in vendor reviews, in management meetings, in training, in audit, in board reporting. So that is when governance becomes real, not when a document is written. When it becomes real when behavior changes. That is the important thing. And there is a six-phase roadmap that gives leaders a practical path forward. The first one is awareness and leadership alignment. Second is you have foundation and documentation. Then you have risk assessment and control. After that, you have operational embeddings, and then internal audit and management review. And then you have certification readiness. So you don't need to do everything overnight. As I've already previously said, AI governance maturity develops over time. Start from the beginning. Don't try to do everything at once. You will fail. But you do not need to start deliberately. The mistake is waiting until AI becomes widespread before designing governance. By then, the organization may already have fragmented tools, unclear accountability, and inconsistent practices. So, a phased roadmap allows organizations to move from awareness to structure, from structure to control, and from control to assurance. That is how the flow should flow. So let's go into phase one, is awareness and leadership alignment. This is where many organizations should begin, in my opinion. Before writing policies, leaders must align on why AI matters. What is the ambition? What is our risk appetite? Where do we want AI to create value? Right? Which decision should never be delegated without human oversight? Who will own AI governance? How will the board be informed? This phase is about creating a shared understanding. So if leadership is not aligned, AI governance becomes fragmented. IT may focus on tools, legal may focus on compliance, operation may focus on efficiency, HR may focus on productivity, the board may focus on risk. All of those are valid, but they must be connected. And leadership alignment creates that connection. That is why you start here. So the second phase is the foundation and documentation. This is where the organizations create the basic structure, an AI policy, an AI inventory, define rules and responsibility, a governance committee or oversight mechanism, a risk assessment method, a process for approving AI use cases, a process for managing third-party AI tools, a basic incident and concern reporting process. So it doesn't have to be complex. The point is not to create paperwork for the sake of paperwork. The point is to create a foundation that people can follow. Without foundation, every AI project becomes a one-off, and that is not what you want. With foundation, the organization can move faster because the rules are very, very clear. And that is what we need to do. If we look at the third phase, which is risk management and control, this is where governance becomes practical. The organization identifies AI use cases and assesses them based on impact, risk, and autonomy. Then it defines the control, the data control, access control, human oversight control, testing control, then monitoring control, vendor control, incident response control, risk treatment. So risk treatment is not about stopping the AI. Sometimes we think that, hey, these are the risks, so we won't use AI, blah blah, right? It's about making AI trustworthy enough to scale, right? When risk is understood and controlled, leaders, we as leaders, we gain confidence. Employee gains clarity because they know what they should do when they should do it, right? And customer will also gain trust because they know, hey, you have stated that clearly, and the organization can innovate responsibly. That is why phase number 3 is important. If we move to the fourth phase, that is operational embeddings, this is where AI governance moves from documentation into daily practice. So AI governance should be part of the project management, part of procurement, part of vendor onboarding, data governance, cybersecurity, HR, customer service operation, even part of management reporting. This is where many organizations struggle, and I see that. They create a policy, but a policy that does not enter the workflow. It's just a document. And operational embeddings means the governance process a um, becomes a normal way of working. So people do not have to remember to govern AI separately. The process helps them do that. So I hope that the system is coming into place and that you guys are starting to understand how important that is. If we move to the fifth phase, which is internal audit and management review, at some point leadership must ask, is the system actually working? Right? We can implement all those kinds of beautiful things, but the question we should ask is the system actually working? Internal audit provides independent review. It checks whether policies are followed, controls are implemented, risks are being assessed, incidents are being documented, or whether the AI management system is effective. So management reviews then brings the result back to leadership. What is working? What is not working? What is risk? Um, what risks are increasing? What resources are needed? What decision must management make? And this closes the governance loop. So without audit and review, governance can can become assumed rather than verified. So if we move to the sixth stage, that is certification readiness. You don't have to be certified. Not every organization will pursue certification immediately, right? But the discipline of preparing for certification can be very valuable. It forces the organization to examine evidence and like, are the roles defined, are policies approved, are risk assessment documented, are control implemented, are audit performed, are management reviews being held, are improvements being tracked. You know, your KPIs, are those being tracked? Those are very important. So certification readiness is not about looking good for the auditor. Um, it is about proving that the organization can govern AI in a structured, repeatable, and accountable way. That is valuable even before certification. All right. There is something, Prasad. Without a doubt, AI has to be the
It's
most dis.
a really great question from Pumanan. He's speaking about the fact that AI does have an environmental impact. And so
Yes.
he's asking specifically if ISO 42001 covers how to deal with environmental risks associated with AI and how to reduce it.
Yes, there are certain part that goes into the environmental risk. So you can look it up. It's a lot of documentation that you can read about. But I will look into a link and I'll send to you guys and you can read into it. But yes, it does. It does. And if we even look at all IT projects, because AI is IT related, it's based on information technology, and it depends on what SDGs you're going to, what is relevant for your company, or what is relevant for your branch within the how do you call it, within the space you're working in, right? So maybe you're working in a space where environmental risks are very high, and in that case you need not only look at the AI implementation, but also look at the underlying infrastructure. Where is it coming from? How much, like, what's the energy consumption it will use, and how does that impact on the society? So those are things that you can combine with SDGs, and if you combine it very well, then you can implement AI responsible, like looking at other energy technology that you can implement to like drive local AI. There are companies right now that are using the space technology. So they are hosting their data center in space. That is going to happen very soon. So, and if you look at space is actually cold and hot at the same time. And if you put your data center in a very cold environment like space, but and put it just below, above the atmosphere within the stratosphere, then it's very cold environment there. You have very little oxygen, and oxygen, we know that oxygen is a substance that is very dangerous and not very good for servers. So when it's up there, there is little oxygen, and servers can run very smooth. It is very efficient, and with the space technology, with satellite infrastructure right now, like what SpaceX is doing, they want to build a complete internet network using satellites. So those are going to be very accessible to people very soon. And once you can use that, then all these services becomes more accessible, more cost friendly, and it will also be environmentally friendly, because you're not destroying the ecosystem. Microsoft is also looking, they are actually implementing their servers under sea right now. They have a lot of servers that are running below the surface, in the ocean, because it's colder there. And with colder, you can drive up your CPU without burning them out. So those are technology that people are looking into implementing. And these are, I'm not saying this because I'm not pulling this out of my head. It's actually happening right now as we speak. You guys can research it, and you'll see that these things are actually happening right now. And so yes, space is going to be awesome. uh, all right, great. I hope the question has been answered. So we can move to the next. Let me see where I am. Aims. Oh yeah. So the AI management system implementation is a business transformation program. If you look at it, it is not. Is it not? It's not a documentation project. Uh, Maybe you have came across that already in this workshop. That I've spoken so many times about it. I just want to emphasize it's not documentation project. This is important, because if AI governance is treating only a compliance paperwork, people will resist. And that is true for all other system that you want to implement. They will see it as bureaucracy. But if AI governance is positioned correctly, it becomes an endeavor of trust, and that is where you want to be. Because if people don't trust the system, they won't use the system, and it won't have any sense anymore. So it helps the organization adopt AI with confidence. It helps leaders make better decision. It also helps employee know what is allowed. It helps your customer also trust that AI is being used responsibly. It also helps regulatories to see that the organizations is serious. So the message is not governance slows us down. The message is governance allow us to scale safely, and that is what we want to be. So, so let us move into some practical scenarios. So imagine you have a customer service AI agent, right? At first, it simply answers frequently asked questions. That is relatively low authority, but then the organization expands the agent. Now it can access customer records. It can update cases. It can issue refund. It can apologize on behalf of the company. It can escalate complaints. It can recommend compensations, just like Amazon. It can point the risk changes. So the question is no longer only is the answer accurate. The question becomes now, what authority does the agent have? How much money can it approve? Which complaints must be escalated? How does it handle vulnerable customers? How how are how are its how do you call it interactions being logged? How do we monitor customer outcomes? So that is the difference between AI as a tool and AI as an operational actor. So this is one of the scenarios. The other scenario that I have is, if you can now imagine a financial decision agent. Everybody wants this. It reviews invoices, flags out anomalies, it recommends approval, and perhaps even trigger payment workflows. The value is obvious, right? Finance teams can reduce manual reviews. They can detect anomalies faster, especially in the finance, in the banking industry. They can improve cash flow visibility. But one thing, the governance stake here is very high, because money can move, fraud controls the matter, right? So segregation of duties matters here. Approval, thresholds, those are things that matters. Audit log matters. Explainability matters. And if an AI agent approves an invoice incorrectly, who catches it? Who catches it? If it rejects a legitimate payment, what happens to the supplier's relationship? Have you ever asked that question? If it learns from flawed historical pattern, that is why I've told you guys in the beginning why data is so important to structure. Because if you have structured data, then you can minimize the flaw of historical patterns. Could it reinforce poor practices? Does this does not mean we should avoid AI in finance. I'm not saying that. It means finance AI should be governed with the same discipline we apply to financial controls. So all those controls apply when you implement AI. It's not a magic wand. So if we look at recruitment, recruitment is one of the clearest example of why AI governance matter. An AI recruitment agent might screen CVs, rank candidates, draft interviews, question, and or recommend a shortlist. That can save time, but it can also create serious fairness and accountability risk, right? If so yeah so But it can also create serious fairness and accountability risk. If historical hiring patterns were biased, right, and that happens, the AI may learn those patterns and be biased also, only on a exponential scale, and that is not what you want. Like, you're only hiring white people for the last 5 years. That is bias, and it takes that, and it learns from that. So it thinks, hey, you only want white people. That those things happen. Um, if the model cannot explain why candidates were ranked lower, the organization may struggle to defend its decision. And if managers simply accept AI recommendation without meaningful review, human oversights become very weak. So recruitment affects the opportunity. It affects your livelihood. It affects diversity, and that is why an AI recruitment use case requires careful impact assessment, fairness review, human oversight, and documentation. Efficiency is valuable, but fairness is non-negotiable. That is something we need to have a look at, because right now, as we speak, we're building such a system for a company. So that's why I've listed all these points. If you look at the public sector, the service delivery, an AI agent might help citizens understand requirements, submit forms, check eligibility, or track applications. Right? This can improve access and reduce administrative burden. But public service has special responsibility. AI must not create new barriers. It must not exclude people who are less digitally skilled. It must not produce decision that citizens cannot challenge. It must not hide, let's say, accountability behind automation. So if an AI used in government services, leader must always ask, can citizen require human review? Are explanations understandable? Are vulnerable groups being protected? Is there a non-digital alternative? Are these errors corrected quickly if they occur? Are records retained? Public sector AI can create enormous value because that's a very big sector. But trust is essential. And if you look at governance, governance is what protects that trust. So you see how governance go hands in hand in implementing AI. Um, I have a couple of other scenarios here. I don't know if you guys want me to walk through them. I'll skip a couple of them. Let me see. Agentic AI governance canvas. Let me take this one. The Agentic AI governance canvas is actually a practical tool for decisions. When reviewing any AI agents, leaders can ask, what is the objective? Who is affected? What data is used? What system can it access? What authority does it have? What decision can it make? What must be challenged? What must be escalated? Right? What could go wrong? What control exists? Who owns it? How is performance monitored? How are incidents reported? So this canvas that I have on screen, maybe you guys can take a screenshot or so, um, is um, this canvas is useful because it makes abstract governance concrete, right? Instead of debating AI in general, we examine one agent, one process, one decision, one risk, and one control at a time, and that is how governance becomes practical. So if you guys want to make a screenshot, you guys can make a screenshot of this, and um, I, I want to pause here for a short executive exercise. I don't know if you guys want to do it, but think about your own organization and choose one process where AI could create value. It could be customer service, finance, HR, compliance. It doesn't, yeah, you name it. Now ask three questions. First is, what could AI do alone? The second question is, what should AI only do with human approval? And the third question is, what should AI never do? So if you guys want a few minutes, I can give you that to reflect on that. Um, if not, we can just move. If you're comfortable, you guys can share one in this session. Um, it's not mandatory. It's just if you guys can do it, then I'll be happy also. But if not, it's not a problem. So this exercise is important because it forces us to separate capability from authority, and many
Right.
AI.
So,
Yes.
Brian, I'm just thinking, let's just ask the participants if
Mhm.
they want a 5 minute to do this exercise. We could
Yeah.
create two breakout groups, just
Mhm.
5 minutes for you to talk it through, and then
Mhm.
come back and share your thoughts with Brian because we are at 2:20 now. If we give you
Yes.
5 minutes for a breakout, it means when you come back, there's an extra 5 minutes that Brian can debrief, and then he has a half hour to still finish. That
Yeah.
timeline would work with you, Brian?
What I suggest, that is why I've given the workbook. So
Yeah.
these questions are also in there. So I've also put so if you guys are confident with that, maybe you guys can fill it out and mail it to us, and we can have a interactive session, because I understand that maybe you don't want to, you don't, it's a little bit it's confidential, and maybe you don't feel to do it right now, so that's okay. That's why I've put in the workbook. Then fill it out for yourself, and if you feel that you want to share it with us, then you can do it. I think that's better. uh,
All right. Well, you can continue then, Brian. I see Novak has put an answer in,
Yeah.
so maybe that will suffice.
Yes, yes. Awesome, awesome. Okay, that's good. Thank you, Novak. All right. So there are several questions every board should ask. We're coming to the end, so we have a couple of slides yet, and then I'm gonna finish. I think we're gonna finish in the time. How much time do I have yet, Kamala?
You have just over a half hour.
Okay, okay, good. Yes, I will finish within that. No problem. So, the several question that every board should ask about AI, and that is something that you guys can take, is where is AI being used? Who owns AI governance? Which AI system are high impact? What decision are being influenced by AI? What human oversight exists? How are AI risk being assessed? How vendors evaluate, how incidents are being reported, what information does the board receive, what our risk appetite is about AI autonomy. So these questions do not require directors to become technologists. Okay, so these are business related questions. They require directors to become more informed, and that is exactly the role of any board, any director, any management, to ask the right question, to protect the organization, its stakeholders, and to build long-term trust. Okay, so here are five immediate leadership commitment. First is create visibility. That is the first thing. Second, what I want you guys to do is know where AI is being used in your organization. And after this session, you guys can have that conversation within your company. Hey, where is AI being used? Just have that casual conversation just to assess the situation. So, and assign accountability. Um, Inform them, hey, I've done this workshop and these are the things that we need to start implementing in our company. Have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? So every AI system needs an owner. Create ownership within the company. Third is define authority. Know what AI may do, what requires approval, and what is prohibited. Fourth is manage risk proportionately. Let's say apply stronger controls where the consequences are greater, especially when you have to do it with sensitive data. So fifth is build learning into the system. Monitor, audit, review, and improve. It's a continuously improving improvement. So these commitments are simply to state, but it's very powerful when you implement it. And mind you, it won't happen today, it won't happen tomorrow, but it's a process. So take it one step at a time, and you will see that the more you iterate on it, the more you will improve, and they will move the organization from AI curiosity, like today, everybody's curious, right? To AI governance. And that is where you want to be. And they give us as leaders a practical starting point, because right now most companies don't even have a start point. They're all over the place. And this workshop, I think, have given you guys a starting point, where to start, what to look for, right? um, so let's um, let us make this a little bit practical in the first 90 days. So in the first 30 days, create visibility. So the next 30 days in your business, start creating visibility. Identify the tools already in use, right? Ask departments what they are experiencing, and what they are experimenting on, right? And review those vendor platforms with AI included. You remember those AI, because every company is saying, hey, they are implementing AI. So review those vendors platform, And then create a basic AI inventory. From day 30 to day 60, define the governance foundation. And that is develop or update your AI policy if you have one, create one then, assess the roles, create approval thresholds. And after that, you define prohibited uses. That's important. What not to use, right? And then you establish a risk classification method, and that can be a simple chart where you classify that. So from day 60 to day 90, then that is where we begin operational embedding. You will assess the highest risk use cases, and after that you will define the controls, and after you define the control you will train key users on how to use those controls, how to implement those controls. Then you will create reporting for management, and then you prepare the board for ongoing oversight, right? So um, you do not need to perfect this whole process in 90 days, but you need momentum. And for the 90 days, if you do this, then I bet you will have a good system in place, and that is also written in my book. So I've given you the framework here. In my book, it's written out. You have all the frameworks that you can use. So it will help. Um, so if you look at what management should report is that it's not, let's say, it's not technical noise. Useful It should be useful governance information. I'm tired. I've been talking, sorry.
I totally appreciate and understand that, Brian. Yes,
Yeah,
because usually with the
yeah,
workshop, we would have a breakout session or two, which gives you a little rest.
yeah. No worries,
But
no
and
worries.
also because this is so new to us, a
Yes.
lot, a lot of us could really only just listen, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. I totally understand. Yeah, and that's why I've made it non-technical. It's more on the
Yeah,
on the board level, on management level, because if you understand how to do it, then it becomes the implementation is simple. This is the 80%. If you
yeah,
if you put if you put the 80/20 rule into place, this is the 80% that we need to do before we even go into implementation. So if you look
yeah.
at examples, is um, uh, management should report AI governance in a way leaders can understand. So and that is how we create no noise. And so the useful governance information would be something like what AI system exists, so what are the high risks. So the questions that I'm constantly repeating, incident or concerns they may have, what decision does leadership needs to make. So this good reporting turns AI from an invisible technology topic into a visible governance topic, and that is what we want to be. And once it becomes visible, leaders can manage it, because right now they cannot, as what you said, Kamala, it's new and you cannot see it. So with this framework, with this if you do it like this, it becomes visually, and when it becomes visually, you can manage it, and you can build your system based on that. So AI governance maturity is a journey. So some organizations are explorers, all right? They are curious, but governance is informal. Some are experimenting on it. They are testing tools, but if you look at but ownership may be unclear on that. Some some are emerging. They have policies and inventories, but controls are still developing. Some are operational, and governance is embedded into the process, and some are governed. They have a mature AI management system in place. They have monitoring, they have audit, review, and continuously improvement system. The point is not The point is not to shame organizations that are early in the journey. You don't have to be ashamed that you don't have it yet, because majority, like 99% of all companies, don't have this system in place yet. So the fact that you guys are here, you're in a you're giving an advantage into creating this. So the point is to know where you are. So once you know where you are, you can decide the next step, and that is important. So this is one of the key nuggets from my book, and it is also the leadership choice facing every organization. The question is not whether you will use AI. You will. Your employees already are using it. Your vendors already are. Your competitors already are using it. The real question is whether you will be able to govern it. There is a difference between adopting AI and leading AI. Adoption is about tools. Leadership is about direction, boundaries, accountability, and trust. And many organizations will adopt AI. Fewer will govern it well. The organization that governs it well will be better positioned, and to earn it, they will be better positioned into earning trust, manage risk, and create sustainable value. And that is the leadership, that's a leadership choice we have to make, uh, everyone here. So let us return to the opening story. An employee worked overnight and made decision across the organization. Our first question was, who authorized it, right? Now apply that to AI. If an AI agent answers a question, a customer's question, who authorized it? If it updates a record, who authorized it? If it rejects an application, who authorized it? If it escalates a case, who authorized it? If it triggers a payment, who authorized it? So this is another nugget, I want you guys to remember. Capability without accountability is exposure. AI gives us capability. Governance give us accountability. And organizations, we need both. We need both. So um, here is the final challenge that I give you guys. If your organization hired five 500 digital workers tomorrow morning, right? Who would manage them? Who would approve their job description? Who would describe what system they can access? Who would define their authority? Who would monitor their performance? Who would audit their decision? Who would handle complaints? Who would return? Who would retire them when they are no longer safe or useful? There are question. That question may sound futuristic, right? But it is arriving faster than many organizations expect, and I'm seeing this every day. Agentic AI is not simply a new tool; it is a new organizational capability, and every new capability needs governance, right? So I will, if there are any questions in the call, I'm now open to answer any questions, because I think we've come to the end of our of the workshop, and I just want to close off with this thought. The future will not belong only to organizations that adopt AI first. It will belong to organizations that govern AI at its best. So because AI will become widely available, tools will become cheaper, agents will become more powerful, automation will become more common. But people, trust will remain difficult to earn and easy to lose. That is why governance matters. That is why leadership matters. And that is why this conversation cannot end today, what we're having today. it needs to live. And for those who would like to go deeper, yeah, my book Governance Intelligence explores the leadership challenges in more detail. But whether you read the book or not, I hope you leave with one commitment, and that is, do not wait until AI is everywhere before you govern it. That is the only thing I ask. Do not wait until AI is everywhere before you govern it. Start now. Create visibility. Assign accountability. Define oversight. Manage your risk. Build trust. And with this, I want to thank you guys for the time that you guys have taken to listen to me 3 hours in a row. I hope it was helpful, and I hope it helped you guys being better AI aware leaders in the Caribbean, and spread the word.
Thank you very much, Brian. I want to say that this was really, really a tremendously good workshop,
Uh,
uh, especially as we're looking at this new area, you know. So I want to ask you two things.
yes,
Please, can you put your email address in the chat so all
yes,
participants have access to you if it is
okay,
that anyone wants to have a continued
yes,
discussion? I see
amazing.
Kevin already has his hand up, so we are into the Q&A time. Kevin, I will jump ahead of your question just to ask one myself, and then I'll go to you. But also, let me remind everyone that we have the survey link in the chat, so please give us your feedback. We will share your feedback with Brian as well. So if there are any additional things that you want him to know, any questions, and so include that there as well, and we'll make sure that we share your feedback with him. So please click on that link so it opens up, and we would look forward to your feedback. So Kevin, before I go to your question, Brian,
Yes,
my question was, if you were brand new to AI in the sense that, so for me personally, I use ChatGPT. I use
yes,
ChatGPT quite a bit because if we want to design email messages to be sent out, we frequently do email blasts. Sometimes it helps us in creating workshop outlines, you know, very, very, very useful tool, I find.
yes,
But that's the extent of how we use ChatGPT. But of course, I'm hearing about all these other models like
yeah,
Claude and Grok, and I
yeah,
heard about OpenClaw as well during my DBA studies. So that's why when you said, a lot of people ask, well, which tool do you use? That was exactly my head because I don't know. And so I like what you did in telling us that it's important first to know what you want.
yes, yes.
But then I may know what I want, but I don't know which tools can help me. So how would you guide us from that first step? You
Yeah.
understand what you want, but how do you know which may be the most appropriate fit?
Yeah, yeah. That's a good question. Once you've defined what you want, it's not only, hey, when you say what you want, it's like, okay, I want an AI that can handle my email, my mailbox.
No, so let me tell you specifically. I think one
Yeah.
of our biggest gaps at CCGI is our marketing.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because our team is quite a small team, and we manage our operations excellently. I'm 100% satisfied. The team is very good with that. But
Yeah.
in terms of marketing initiatives that really gets the word out there about the excellent products we have,
Mhm.
that is one of our gaps. And so if it's possible to have an AI agent that will be doing that work 24 hours, you
Yes.
know, that would certainly be attractive to us. But then
Yeah.
where do we get started?
So the first thing that I would do is, once you know what you want, I would define the process. What in your organ, what in that process, are you repeating every day? What are you doing the same thing? If one of those, if you say you want to automate that process, right?
Mhm.
So it's not, most of the time it's not going to be the whole process. It's going to be one segment of that. So you need to define that. I want that, if like, I'm just calling out something like if I send out an email blast, if somebody replies, I need an AI agent to read that email, uh, create a draft, and give me a ping on my WhatsApp to approve it, something like that. So because if one of your colleagues creates a draft, I think it comes to you to do the approval process. So and that is very repetitive. So all the
Mm.
repetitive tasks, that is one process that you have defined clearly. And once you've defined that, then you can actually Google which tool can do that. And there are a couple of tools out there that can automate this. But if you want it to connect to other system within your company, then we need to ask the question about governance. Hey, who's going to be who's going to be responsible
Mhm.
when something goes
Okay.
wrong? And once you get that in place, then you can ask AI specialists in Trinidad, or you can even hire us. Then we come and we work it out for you and implement it. So
Okay.
so I wouldn't, if you're not technical, I wouldn't try to do this myself. I've seen it go very wrong. That mailbox has been scanned and sensitive information regarding pricing and strategies has been mailed to competitors. And because there is something called prompt injection,
Yeah.
and that is something to be very aware of, that I can send you an email without you even seeing the text, but it's a prompt that I have embedded in the mail. And once you've opened it, or you don't even have to open it, because the AI reads it automatically the moment it come
Right.
in.
As my agent.
Yes,
And therefore
it has
it's
read the
standing in
mail.
my shoes.
Yes,
Yes.
and then it has also read the embedded instruction, and I can give it
Right.
instruction to get other information if you haven't set up the guardrails in place.
Yeah.
So those are the security side of thing that people overlook. And that is why I'm saying, define the process. And once you have somebody come in, they will look at the whole process from not only the user side, but also the organizational side, and then also the security and the compliance. And so the whole life cycle will
Yeah.
they will look at that. And once that is looked in, the process will be defined, the documentation will be written out, and then you implement it. So it's not what I've said, it's a hype. Yeah, you can click here, click there, and it's set up in a minute. Yes, of course, it can. But beware of the other part.
Yeah.
So I hope
Okay.
that
Let me,
hope the answer. I hope
yeah.
it's.
So at the end of the day, Brian, it means I'm calling you. So so, but
Yes.
let me just say, Kevin has had his hand up. He's probably tired with it though. Kevin, go ahead and unmute and let's hear your question.
No, no, no. After the CCGI week and so on there, and all the people would have asked, I'm accustomed. So not tired there. First of all, Mr. Imammbaks, that was an excellent. This is a very interesting thing. I mean, and I want to thank Ms. Ramprasad De Silva and CCGI for allowing me to be part of this, because things here I would have never discovered myself too. But with regards to everything that was discussed here,
Yeah.
it's quite clear that AI is the way that everything is heading worldwide, and it has its ups and downs just like everything else. But
Yeah.
let's talk things a bit legal at the moment. I have two questions here. The first
Yeah.
thing is with regards to AI, right? Let's just say with an AI error or maybe some mistake or so there, right?
Mhm.
Where legal liability and so on is concerned, who do you
Yeah.
think should be held accountable? The developer, the user, the organization, even the government. And my second question to you is this: should governments, and I mean in Trinidad and Tobago and even beyond, even down Suriname on your end, even Ghana perhaps, start developing or having legislation in place for AI?
Yes. So those are very good questions. Regarding the legislation, if you look at worldwide, legislation is always something that follows the follows new things that are emerging. If we look at digital payment, legislation comes after it has been implemented. So legislation is important, and that is what I would say, that governments needs to work with technology company hand in hand to create these legislation. Even OpenAI, even Claude, Anthropic, the CEO of Anthropic and is the CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman, have said in a speech that they are asking companies, the government, to create legislation to damp it down, because the way AI is moving right now, it's nearly unstoppable. It's in such a rate, and mind you, technology companies, they are innovators. They will keep innovating. They will move at a speed that no government can can keep up, and that is what they are saying. We need to. It's a it's a hand-in-hand work with governments and the private sector, the technology companies, to create those legislation, especially for us company, for us in this region. So we need to actually work with the governments to come up with drafts of AI Act. There is one, the European AI Act, that we can use and see how does that relate to Caribbean region. We don't have to copy everything, because I sometimes see companies, they want to I mean governments, they copy the GDPR and they implement it in the country, but it won't work, because every region has different use cases, different rules, etc. So those are very um, uh, serious conversation that are happening here also in Suriname. I'm one of the board member of the ICT Association in Suriname, and we're actively working on an AI Act for Suriname, and it's a back and forth with the government, because we want this in place, because the speed of how AI is being implemented is phenomenal, and we want to protect the whole um, country from external forces, because one of the main thing is data governance. Where is the data being governed? um, should we create our own local AI? I'm actually in that process of creating a local language model for Suriname, because we have different languages here that is not in the world. So that is something we are developing, and if that is being developed, then we need to look at data centers that can drive that local AI, because creating an AI, a local AI is good. I mean, a language model like OpenAI and Claude. But the other thing is you need to have the infrastructure to run that. So it's hand in hand. And regarding the legal part, I'm not a legal person, so I cannot give you advice on what to do. But I have people in my network that can maybe answer that question. But right now, I wouldn't I wouldn't dare to answer that question right now regarding the legal part.
But if
So
I may
what I
give
what I
a
would say,
suggestion. Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead, Brian. Sorry.
yeah. So what I would say is that if you as a company implemented the AI solution and it's for your customer, it's for external use, then you as a company are responsible for everything that happens. Just have that in your mind. You're responsible.
Yeah.
So if you as a company, you have an AI agent and it's a customer service, or some kind of AI agent that acts as someone from the company, then you're accountable. Everything is on you if it makes a mistake. You cannot blame it on the AI. So that is something I would confidently say. We need to take more responsibility as companies, and that way you will become more trustworthy, because if you say it, because most people they set up AI systems for external use, and then they do not have a disclaimer on their website or anywhere saying, "Hey, this is a digital assistant. It can make mistakes, and if it makes a mistake, that you should have a policy." That is where AI policy comes in place. So if it goes wrong, you can always refer to your policy as in, "Hey, the AI made a mistake. That is not correct. We will rectify that." So you don't have a legal case on your neck as the AI said something, and the client will sue you on that. That is why your policies need to be in place, and it needs to be visible on your website, not somewhere tucked away. If somebody starts a conversation with your AI agent on your website, it can be a simple conversation, simple AI, a chatbot. Have a link that when you click on it, that you need to accept that policy, that AI can make a mistake. So those are governance structure that you need to have in place before you even put a customer service bot online. So that is how it should work in my opinion and experience that I have. I hope that answers your
We
question,
are
Mona.
hearing the phone ringing as well, Brian. So if you
Yeah,
can,
it's my
your
phone.
daughter. Yeah.
One
Okay.
second. One second. Yes.
Right. Thanks. So while you were thinking through that, I wanted to give a response as well because we do have a lot of CCGI members here and a lot of persons are looking to deploy AI.
Yes.
And whilst this may not be a perfect answer, I did want to share, Kevin, if we think in terms of when we recruit human employees in our organizations, and let's say one of those employees engage in embezzlement or some sort of fraudulent activity, we don't go back to their parent to hold the parent accountable. Because within our system, we have to have what are the duties, responsibilities, what are the controls, what are the policies that would govern and guide the employees in terms of what is acceptable and what isn't. And I think to a great extent, we have to treat it that way to protect our organizations as we employ AI models. That would be my guidance for now until the law develops and matures to tell us otherwise.
That is correct. Yeah. That is what we should do is also what I've said early is that when you have employees in your company and you have policies in place, they need to sign an agreement that they have read that policy. Because if you have a legal issue, if one of your colleagues has done something wrong, if you have a legal case, an international case or something, um, you can always refer as a company as in, "Hey, that person knew the policy and he acted against that, so we cannot be held liable for that, so that person will be sued, not the company." So these are checks and balances that you can put into your company in place to cover all these issues that may occur. And the same goes to AI. In this case, when you're setting up AI for externally, then have always your disclaimer somewhere visibly, that people know it's a digital assistant and it can make mistakes, and you need to put that in writing, so and they need to accept it before they move forward, and that is how you cover and you govern your company in a very structured way. So then you don't have to wait on legislation to come. That will come, but this is the first line of defense for your own company. This is how you can help yourself and be in compliant with everything. So I hope that helps.
So we do have 5 more minutes, Kevin, if you had any follow-up question or if there's any participant who wants to raise an issue or even express their thanks for what might be some key takeaways they took from the session with you, Brian, we'd be very happy for that.
Yes, I've also put the
Well,
link of the Caribbean AI Index website that we've created. So what we want to do is we want to measure the AI readiness of the whole Caribbean. So
Mm.
the AI toolkit, that the link that I've placed, the second link, if you fill that out, then your data is being anonymized and it will come on screen, and this will show the whole Caribbean. It's how far are we in readiness in AI, and it hope that my goal for this tool is actually to help governments see how far we are, and they can create legislation based on the information that is available. So that is it's a two-way situation. Yeah.
Thanks. So Malon has asked if we will receive the presentation. And while you answer, I'm going to ask Novak to unmute and share his question after Brian
Yes,
answers the
I will
presentation.
share the presentation. I will send it to you, Kamala, and I will
Okay, sure.
PDF
Please
it,
send it
and
to
then
everyone.
and
Yes.
then you can share it with everyone in this session.
Okay, excellent. Go ahead,
So
Novak.
thank you very much, Kamala. Brian, I just really wanted to express a vote of thanks. This presentation was a breath of fresh air because I mean, I've been in so many AI presentations over the last 2 years, and
Yeah.
they push the technology first, and this is one of the very very few that actually focused on the importance of data governance and having the right internal structures to support these AI agents, these AI tools. So
Yes.
it was indeed a breath of fresh air. So I think that is very commendable. So instead of just the technology first, AI can do this, big grand promises that is going to transform how you live, how you work.
Yeah.
So thanks very much. It was a breath of fresh air.
Great. I'm very, very glad that it was helpful, and yes, that is something I tell everyone. I keep telling everybody where we do consultancy, hey, get your data structured. That's the first thing. Get your things structured, or else we cannot help you. It will only cost you more. And I don't want to put my name on a system that after a month it breaks down, and who you gonna blame? You're gonna blame me that, hey, I didn't do a good job. But I'm telling you up front, hey, these are the things, these are the risks. I'm very upfront with everything. And if a company still wants to implement it, I do not do it. I tell them, go find somebody else that can do it for you. I do not put my name on this. This is how I guard my reputation and my name within the whole Caribbean. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Brian. Well, I realize someone is calling you urgently. You need to check
Oh,
with your family members who need you.
yeah, it's my
Thank
it's
you
my
so
wife.
much. Okay, right. And I wanted to thank Novak for his comments as well, because we have not attended that many AI workshops. So I'm happy to hear that we did select the right person to speak about use of AIs in organizations for us being a governance institute. So thank you for that contribution, Novak. And I really appreciate all of our participants who stayed with us through the 3 hours and who have found great value in it. I'm
Yes.
asking you to please give us your feedback in the survey link so that we can share it with Brian. It's also, of course, for our own purposes to know that
Yes.
we have met your expectations. So I want to thank everyone, and Brian, you sincerely. As soon as you can tell us how we can access a copy of your book,
Yes.
please
I
share that information with me.
I will share it. Yes.
Yes, and so
I
we'll
will.
share it with our participants from today's workshop as well. And based on if I get feedback from persons saying that you want a follow-up workshop now with some of the things that Brian spoke to, let us know that, and we'll see how best to schedule something that would give you value, at the next level. Today was the foundation, and before actually looking to use an AI agent, understand what you need to do and have in place to govern
Yeah.
it. So I really
Yeah, maybe
appreciate it.
maybe if for everyone here, if it's okay, so what we can do, if there are enough people of companies that want to implement AI governance within the company. I can fly over there if there is enough um, uh, uh, um, uh, companies interested, and I can do a physical workshop and we can guide you through the whole process. We can work that out. And this way, I think if we do it in a group, like if there are a lot of companies, then we can all share the cost, and it will be not that expensive for one company to do it. So maybe Kamla, maybe you can check that out and facilitate that. I don't know.
Yes,
It's
I'll certainly try. But the truth is, among our participants here, we have people from Belize, Barbados, Jamaica, Guyana, Antigua and Barbuda. So there may not be sufficient
yeah,
in one space, but it would have been great if we can do building that out as a session via Zoom where you direct us. So let's think about that and see how we
yeah, sure.
could make the next
No
step
worries.
happen.
I'm
Yes?
always here to help.
Appreciate that very much. So thank you very much, Brian Imammbaks. Have a wonderful evening and
Yes.
say thank you to your family as well for allowing us to have this access to you till a few minutes after 3 as well. And to all of our new members who joined us today, because we want you to be ahead of the curve in understanding your role in governance in your organization. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope that you see there is value to your membership here with CCGI. All other persons, especially those who are attending one of our sessions for the first time, continue to stay locked in with us. There's always value. Consider being a member as well, and let's see how we can improve governance practices in the Caribbean region together. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
All right, guys. Have a great day. Bye bye.
Bye bye.